It is 6 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. The AFC defeated the NFC in the Pro Bowl yesterday, 41-35. Mike Vrabel and his staff led the AFC as Kevin Byard, Harold Landry, Roger Saffold all saw action. Byard had an interception. Landry had 5 total tackles. Justin Herbert and Max Crosby were the offensive and defensive MVPs, respectively. Saints running back in VFL Alvin Kamara arrested on a battery charge on Sunday in Las Vegas after being accused of injuring someone at a nightclub Saturday night. He was taken into custody following playing in the Pro Bowl. Miami Dolphins have agreed to a deal with San Francisco 49ers offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel to make him their next head coach. And the Houston Texans are in talks with their associate head coach and defensive coordinator Lovie Smith about potentially becoming their next head coach. That's according to reports. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your Over the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Welcome in, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. On this Monday of Super Bowl week, Buck and 3HL headed out to Cali, broadcast for much of the rest of the week. Today we start to pivot and can kind of talk about the game a little bit, but ultimately it is one football game, so you aren't going to get 4 hours a day of 4 hours a day of nothing but preview for the Super Bowl. That's the thing that's not going to happen. 11-year NFL veteran, Vol for Life, Ramon Foster, and Jonathan Schaefer joining me. I'm Jason Martin. We're with you until 10. We do it every single weekday, and we will every day this week. Had Justin Herbert on the show on Saturday night.
Huge.
I was not part of it. It was recorded earlier in the week. But I got to listen to Aaron Torres talk to Justin Herbert 7-8 minutes.
How was it?
It was all right.
It was all right. Could have been better.
I mean, definitely could have been better.
Definitely could have. You didn't want to tell him that. But
Pro Bowl was yesterday. They scored all the points. All the points, and you got Mac Jones doing it gritty in the end zone.
I saw that when nobody was chasing him. Mac took advantage of touch.
Whatever, right?
Two-hand touch, baby. You can't get me. Also saw droves, scores of people. You know what? Yesterday on social media, Jay? Shafe? Complaining about the structure of the Pro Bowl.
What do you mean the structure of it? The fact that it exists is the structural problem.
They were just mad. It should be full out hitting. I'm thinking to myself.
Yeah, no?
It lost its luster when Sean Taylor, I was just like, God.
That is the only thing I remember. 2 things from the Pro Bowl. That hit on Brian Moorman.
Yeah.
And Peyton Manning calling Mike Vanderjack an idiot kicker that got lubed
up. But I'm looking at it because it was the only NFL game on yesterday, and I'm watching people complain about it. And I didn't watch it, by the way, and that's okay too because I was out of the house all of yesterday.
I was in simple Sumner yesterday.
Very simple, as you can tell. But I was out of the house all yesterday, man, and I was just thinking to myself, why are y'all complaining about a celebration bowl, basically? Like, this is a vacation for guys. And I know a lot of people's like, well, it's the integrity of the game, and they should be playing football.
In the Pro Bowl?
It was, Jay, y'all don't understand. It was a lot of that yesterday. And I was just like, you got to think, these guys just went through 18 weeks of just full out all just hitting. And here are your all-stars right now. They get an opportunity to show you the other side of them. Why you want to go see them murder each other again? Like, this is a celebration bowl. That's what it is. And I get the idea. Make it 7-on-7. Well, what about the offensive lineman and defensive lineman then? You can line them up out wide, but then you're going to say, nobody want to see fat guys run routes. Like, you can't please people in this one. So I'm like, it is what it is. You see your superstars just, having the ability to be themselves on the sideline, play the games. I did see TJ Watt yesterday get a sack fumble. It was a strip fumble on Kirk Cousins. And the right tackle from Minnesota, I don't know which one it was, but he just looked at TJ like, really? And all TJ did was TJ did break a rule. I will say that. He swiped at the quarterback throwing the ball. You stay away from the quarterback's arm.
On the Pro Bowl. In the Pro Bowl.
Yes.
Look.
And Myles Garrett ran it back for a touchdown.
I don't watch the Pro Bowl. I just don't. If you make it, that's all I care about.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Whatever they want to do once they get to the game's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just name them and have a skill position thing and have some fun with it. But the less seriously they take it, the better.
That's where I'm at.
I mean, it's an exhibition. It's designed for pure entertainment and just to get you a chance to see as many of the guys that are willing to play in it as will. But they're not out there going full speed. There's no need. Now, competitiveness usually takes over in the second half, and somebody does try to win it ultimately at the end of the game. Yeah. But you got 18 weeks of the regular season and the playoffs and all of this. These dudes are just out there having fun. And you, if you want to watch it, can have fun. Like, I've gone past the point where I'm like, I'll get rid of the Pro Bowl. Because I understand why it's there. It rates well and everything else. And I just don't have to watch it. Like, I can do something else.
Yeah.
And that's generally what happened yesterday. I didn't watch it. I looked afterwards, see a couple of the highlights and pay attention. And then just to see if anything newsworthy happened. Didn't really anticipate it. It's just... Man, you can never please people, man.
No,
that's a new shirt right there. You can't please nobody, as you said a couple of minutes ago. There's somebody wants this thing. The integrity of the game, really? That's the argument.
Yeah.
That's the argument.
That's what they were choosing to roll with. And I get most people, look, we as Americans, we can't get enough of American football. Okay? I get that. I know that now, okay? But that take just wasn't it, man. It wasn't it because the Pro Bowl's been like this for a while. And I'll be honest with you, the Sean Taylor hit.
Yeah.
That may have been a line stepper right there. But he was a habitual line stepper. It was
because everybody else is out here just acting as if Sean Taylor's like, this is a game.
You can go be that guy if you want to, but you won't have any friends in this day in football. It's just interesting though. Like, look, it's really a payoff to guys having a good season, and also it's voted upon by the fans and some of the players and some of the coaches. So this is who you want to see, and it was cool seeing the guys out there. Truth be told, I was ecstatic for Roger Saffold after 12 years, and he had been one of the best guards in the game. One of the highest paid, so it correlated to like Rodgers should be in, and he finally got in after 12 years, man. I was ecstatic for him, man. Watching him just be all a part of it, that was a real cool event right there, man. I was hats off to him and all the Titans that made it too, man. Byard, I think, got another pick. Harold Landry was out there doing this thing. It was cool stuff, man.
One thing I've learned in my advanced age is just don't stop people from enjoying stuff.
Yeah, for
real. The Pro Bowl is one of those examples. Like, it's not the Super Bowl. That's next week. It's not the divisional round. It's not a game that matters. So if people want to enjoy it, they want to tune in with their families and watch it, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bury those people, and I'm not going to bury the people that show up, and I'm not going to get up in arms with the people that don't.
Right.
Because I've recognized what this is and what it's not. It's just pure entertainment. It's an all-star game that's played kind of at an odd time, and that's it. You either watch it or you catch up on Yellowstone. Like, you do whatever it is that you need to do. There's plenty of other things that you can do. There was NBA yesterday.
It was?
Yeah, there was. There's some college basketball yesterday. You could watch Pebble Beach. By the way, I noticed Josh Allen at Pebble Beach playing in the Pro-Am, and I was like, I bet he wishes he could have turned down that invite, but he didn't have anything to do this coming Sunday. Yeah. So he was in California to play golf with Darius Rucker.
It's not a bad
and
place.
Schoolboy Q.
Schoolboy, by the way, has transitioned, man. I watched him like a couple years ago. I'm like, is that Mr. Collard Green himself?
It was weird to me. I'm not gonna lie.
Schoolboy?
Like, I was not anticipating Schoolboy Q, and nice swing
and
too.
He was good.
Yeah, he was.
He's good. Schoolboy Q is good. I'm like, what the hell are you doing in Compton?
It was interesting. It was interesting because I'm like, dude, I had oxymoron.
Yeah, come on now. Guy's a former gangbanger, just changed his life.
First off, good for him.
Hell yeah.
I was just like, wait, what?
His swing is nice though, isn't it?
It was not bad.
I was like,
he hit it within 7 feet of the pin off the tee.
what the hell is going on here, Jay? Schoolboy gonna have everybody in the hood playing golf now. That shocked me. I won't lie. He was out there with some on his social media account. He was out there with some big wigs. One day, I'm like, "Oh, you really been doing this? You really used the rap platform to really get out there, huh?"
I mean, awesome.
So
awesome.
Hold up, say that. Who was that group again? Josh Allen.
No, it wasn't a group. I was just naming some of the people that I remembered seeing out there. You know, like usual with your Andy Garcias and people. But when I saw Josh Allen, big smile, I'm like, yeah, it'd be a bigger smile if you were beating the Chiefs.
He passed over the Pro Bowl to go to a pro.
Wouldn't you?
I would too. Yeah, there's a whole lot more connection.
Go hobnob with the people in Pebble Beach for a weekend.
100%.
I mean, it's not like you're going to see people in NFL you don't already know. It's not like Josh Allen needs to network to get his job set. So he's all right.
Josh Allen is hashtag no new friends.
Yeah, pretty much.
But you know what? Him turning that down to go do something like that legitimately says where he is as a pro right now.
Yeah, exactly right. He's earned the right to say no to the Pro Bowl.
Not only that, but I ain't going nowhere unless it's to a Super Bowl. I'm not saying that's what he's thinking, but on the outside looking at him, I'm like, he's really just screwed the NFL right now.
Yeah.
I wonder how he feel about the overtime rule.
I bet he doesn't like it.
Now he doesn't, for sure.
And I hate the argument well, if it had been your team, you wouldn't have felt that way. I'd probably been happy with the result, but I kind of feel like I cheated to win the game. It just doesn't feel – I know it didn't cheat, but it just doesn't feel like I won.
You feel shorthanded.
Yeah, it just kind of feels like you can knock me, and I can't say anything but – okay, I'm still going to play in the Super Bowl, but okay.
You give him the old, the scrawny face nod in your head.
It's like back when I played tennis in high school, and if you were to hit the let cord, or if you were to hit a ball that goes over and you've put enough backspin on it that it comes back over, you actually are supposed to, there's a gesture you're supposed to do to the other person where you're just kind of
sorry, for real.
Because if not, then you're just a total arrogant jerk. But if you get the net cord and if it clips the tape and then goes over after a rally or something like that, you just
my bad. You give him the my bad.
If somebody turns around and be like, all right, well, I'm going to be waiting for him outside with a wrench.
There goes Buck.
615-737-1045. Justin Herbert said something really interesting in the conversation that we had on the show on Saturday about transitioning from college to NFL. I kind of want to talk about it a little bit when we come back. He said some really interesting stuff about the game slowing down and all this stuff and tape that he's watched. But one thing about transition from college to pro, I think you're going to agree with, and I think it'll be a nice jumping off point. Also, Mike McDaniel, head coach in Miami. Mm-hmm. He's an offensive coordinator. Okay. Cool story, bro. And apparently Lovie Smith might be the Houston coach.
Do the scrub effect, man. Come on, y'all. Yeah, Buck laugh.
Do the star white.
Oh, my God.
We'll be back. It's JMart, Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Valentine's Day, huge at Genesis Diamonds. Guess what day it is? It's the 7th. Uh-oh. That means a week. So you better get it taken care of, and a lot of things have filled up. You don't know what you're going to do. Well, I know what you're going to do. You're going to go to my friends at Genesis Diamonds, my jewelry store. They're helping create the perfect Valentine's experience. They're going to be the get-out-of-jail-free card, fellas. They got it all. Romantic gift, fresh flowers, chocolates, dinner out. I mean, all in one place. Genesis has put together a Valentine's package that is truly awesome. When you buy any piece of jewelry for just $99 or more, they're going to give you a bouquet of flowers from Jenny's Flowers, some awesome chocolates, and a gift card for dinner at STK Steakhouse. And when it comes to the jewelry, you already know they got your back. They pulled together some great gift ideas for Valentine's. She'll love the rings, the earrings, the pendants, the bracelets, the bands. affordable, timeless gifts she can enjoy for years. So you can bring the romance. You could show up at the door with the sparkle. One-stop shopping at Genesis, $99 or more on a piece of jewelry. Get those flowers. Get those chocolates. Get the gift card for dinner. All is a gift from Genesis. Happy Valentine's Day from my jewelry store, Genesis Diamonds. Both locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs. Disclaimer, limited quantities. See store for details.
The moment we've been waiting for since September is finally here. In honor of the big game, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56, is giving new customers 56-1 odds on either team. You bet $5 or more and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. And not a new customer? Fine. Bet on Super Bowl 56 props instead. DraftKings Sportsbook offer a wide range of props throughout the big game. Take your shot at winning cash by predicting props like if a non-quarterback would throw a pass, fourth down conversions, total yardage, and so much more. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code WGFX to get 56-1 odds on either teams. And if you bet $5 or more, and you can get $280 in free bets if your team wins. But you got to use the promo code WGFX at an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56. And you must be 21 years or older and present in Tennessee to bet. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Rail Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Welcome back. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone, lifted up by All Four Seasons Garage stores. All4seasonsgarages.com. Go there. I did. If you need anything done to your garage door, if you need to put a garage door somewhere on your house, new garage, whatever it is, they got you taken care of. So, yeah, Mike McDaniel, new Dolphins head coach.
Yeah.
Dolphins love to hire OCs that have never been head coaches before. I mean, they absolutely love it.
Love it.
What's the list? Cameron.
Cameron, that's a name right there, boy.
Gase.
Tony Sperano.
Gase?
Was Gase
Joe Philbin.
Was Gase head HC down there just with the Jets?
He was head coach too.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Thought so.
He's the one that broke Tannehill.
That's right. I was making sure.
It's crazy. We say that like a horse. He broke him.
So apparently he's really creative offensively. He's coming from the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay,
Of course.
Matt LaFleur tree. So they're looking for that. He's another young guy,
Yo.
and he's 38. Dolphins have not finished in top 10 in total yards since 1998. Longest drought in the NFL.
Hold up. Say that again.
They haven't been 10th in yards since 98. Top 10 in yards.
There's kids who are playing in the league right now that was born in 98.
Yeah. There's kids that have been born since. Tom Brady wasn't playing in 98.
God.
I didn't know there was a time when Tom Brady wasn't playing.
Me either. God, dog.
Yeah. And so Houston's looking at Lovie Smith today. I think the Saints brought in Bieniemy yesterday, but I heard it was a long shot that Dennis Allen's probably getting that gig.
For real?
Yeah.
Old school Dennis Allen? No, I'm thinking
DC.
Dennis Green. Dennis Green.
passed
Okay,
away.
never mind. Lord forgive me for that.
Defensive coordinator, Dennis
That
Allen.
is a demerit. You're right, Shafe.
He's the one who filled in for Peyton when Peyton was out
Okay.
earlier this year. COVID.
The quarterback is out of the Houston job, from my understanding. McCown.
Oh, yeah, he is. I
Josh
saw
McCown.
that too, yeah.
And Byron pulled his name out of the Jags.
Yeah, because of Balky.
I get it. I get why. I don't know why they stuck with him, but Balky, I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, we talked about it, and I thought B. Left would have been perfect for that job. I also think Doug Peterson's a good hire.
Yeah, Doug Peterson ain't bad either. If Byron turns it down, then yeah, I get it. Look at Peterson. Worked with a rookie quarterback, had an organization that hadn't done much till him. I mean, they had, but
It'd been a while.
Been
Since the McNabb, like, glory days of the McNabb era.
He got a defense together. Like, he got a process. I think he was at a better start in with the Eagles than he will be with the Jags. I mean, it's
a better
I hate
organization.
to keep saying it's the Jags, but it's the Jags.
It's the Jags.
It's the Jags.
But I do think that you come in with a piece. You come in with Trevor Lawrence. And if you can just, be the anti-Urban Meyer, which he is.
Most people can. Most people can be.
You see Josh Gaddis leaving Michigan, their offensive coordinator, going to
Straight
Miami to go with Mario
Yeah.
Cristobal. That's what happens, Harbaugh, when you almost leave.
Mm-hmm. It's an instability. They lost like a couple recruits too on signing day because of that. Also, I would. I mean, if he's interviewing now, he's going to interview later. One thing I will say is, former promise, he was going to be there at my time there, and he was, and I carried him off the field too as we got fired together.
So I talked to somebody over the weekend that's really, really tight up in Michigan and knew everything that was going on. He's like, so Harbaugh went to Minnesota, and the new GM that he had worked with in San Francisco that he was friends with, Harbaugh came in there with one expectation, got in the room, and there were 2 or 3 people with the Vikings organization that wanted no part of Harbaugh because they just don't want to deal with him on a day-to-day basis. And so the room was like split between people that wanted him and people that wanted him out of the building
ASAP.
before he got there.
Straight up.
So there was a schism going on in the front office as it related to who was going to be the head coach. And there were people that just flat out were like, will not work with him.
I feel that.
He's a jerk. I think it was Jeff.
I feel that.
When he was a free agent, went and talked to Harbaugh in San Francisco.
Okay.
And he said Harbaugh was so intense and weird.
Both?
He was like, not signing there.
For real?
He left. He was like sitting there crushing milk all the way, like all through the interview. And he's just like, the way he talked, I think it was Jeff. Jeff was like, he was insane. Like, I had to get out of there. Like, I felt uncomfortable in there.
Not even White Russians?
No, I'm talking like Kurt Angle, It's true. It's damn true.
Not even the dudes, white Russians.
No.
Milk?
Pleated khakis with 2%.
Not even Nick Saban coaxing an oatmeal.
Nothing.
Milk?
Yeah.
Nothing against the dairy farmers at all.
Like interviewing free agents to bring them out there. He's behind a desk just crushing.
He's not lactose intolerant.
Prairie Farms.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that's weird. So Harbaugh thought he had it in the bag, basically.
Seems like it, yeah. He had told Michigan that. He got on a plane to go up there, thought he was never leaving. Then he came back and he told Michigan, I want to be here. I'm not going to do this again. He said he's not ever going to interview for another NFL job. And this guy told me over the weekend he won't.
He won't.
That it appears that the NFL doesn't want Jim Harbaugh now.
Wow.
And so I mentioned, and we had talked about this before, I was like, was there ever hype or did he create it? Or did his agent create it? He's like, yeah, he created it because he tied himself to the Bears job.
Yep.
He tied himself to the Vikings job.
God.
All this kind of stuff. Like, the interest wasn't there. I was like, well, that's the same thing Dan Quinn was doing, it sounds like.
Yep.
It's definitely what Bill O'Brien was doing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of guys whose teams are spinning stories and media is running with those stories, and there's no legitimacy behind them at all.
And you can tell when it happens. So, like the Dan Quinn thing to me, like I actually last week, like, what happened to Dan Quinn? And
unless he's getting the job in Dallas, there's still jobs open and he's not even looking at them, right?
That's what I'm saying. I'm looking at him, but if you're him, you can't feel too secure about getting a Dallas job because, I mean, Sean Payton is supposed to be the guy next year if they don't do anything this upcoming year in 2022, 2023.
Which makes all sense in the world. If I'm Jerry Jones, yeah, let him go ahead and recharge his batteries and do TV and sell those oats for a year and then leave McCarthy wherever you need to as we've entered the rave.
Yeah, we have.
Hopefully Alvin's not in the room.
Yeah, that's not
tough weekend for Alvin Kamara.
It was.
I don't know the full story of it, but assaulted a nightclub in Vegas and he was arrested, $5,000 bond.
Which ain't a lot.
Not a lot.
But hopefully whatever it is, it gets reduced. And just one of those situations, just be cool. He's got a nice team around him, too, as far as, like, people that watch after him. I'm like, how did y'all let Alvin get to this point? And you've seen him in person. We've seen him in person. He seems like a super chill guy. So I don't know what pushed him to that point, whether somebody was trying to take something from him or just over this. I don't know what it was, but come on, Alvin. You got to have a team around you, man, that protects you in those situations. Yeah. But to your point, though, this hiring search, this coaching search for the NFL this year has been a weird one. I don't think I've ever seen anything where it was this long of a delay as far as finding coaches, too.
It's weird, and it is unimpressive. Like, on paper, a lot of this is very just unimpressive to me.
Check box type.
Yeah, like I get it. Like Doug Peterson's a name that you know, but like a lot of these guys, it's a crapshoot.
It is.
Nathaniel Hackett, I don't know if that's going to work. I hope it does. Obviously, as Broncos fan, I hope it does. Mike McDaniel, super creative. Okay, we'll see. He's never been a head coach at any level.
Josh McDaniels again.
What's
going to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, the Raiders.
Brian Dable's never been a head coach before.
In New York. Well, he was upstate New York. But, like, you're in the city now.
And he didn't have a quarterback.
No, unless he's going to do the Daniel Jones wash.
Nah.
He's got a running back. We know that.
He does, well, if he's healthy.
If he's healthy. He's got an O-line that you can – I think they just need better coaching. I will say that. They got some good parts about that OL, but defensively, they got Leonard Williams. They got some guys over on the other side of the ball. Dory, yeah. Look at you. Dory.
He's a player.
But you're right. Who else has gotten hired?
I mean, like Matt Eberflus.
That's Denver, right?
Yeah, no, that's Chicago.
Chicago.
Hackett is Denver.
Yeah.
McDaniels, Dable, Peterson, Mike McDaniel. So there's still 3 jobs out there. The Saints, which most people expect will be Dennis Allen, the Vikings, who also were looking at Mike McDaniel, and the Texans.
And they were the first ones out, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
They were one of the first ones out. Golly.
Them and Chicago.
Chicago, yep, sure was. Golly.
So that's a thing. Seeing Justin Herbert on the screen. Justin Herbert was on with us on our Fox show on Saturday night, and Aaron Torres interviewed him. And one thing that I thought was really interesting that Justin Herbert said was, he's asked, what's the difference in transitioning college to NFL? And his response was, what you find out when you get to the NFL is what you did in college is meaningless. He's like, because here's the thing. Everybody was that guy for their college. So nobody's impressed with your Rose Bowl win or anything else. None of the players care. Nobody's coming up to you and talking about how you performed against Arizona State or anything else. One, they probably didn't watch, and two, they don't care anyway because all of them have highlights. Yep. Everybody, because even like undrafted dudes that get in the NFL are still really good. Yep. I mean, you're one of them, but like Herb was just like, I was a first-round pick, but it didn't matter. They weren't impressed. They didn't care. I was just another guy that they were trying to hit, another guy that they were trying to knock down. And he goes, that's what you learn. It's just like you just have to your ego dies the second you get to the NFL because everybody else is right there with you.
And have done very similar things.
If not far more.
Or this is the other part on like, let's say going in the trenches, O-line, D-line, or even linebacker or something like that, that's so true because even if you are a first-round lineman, even if you are a stud, you won the Outland Trophy, but you hadn't blocked this all-pro D-lineman.
Right.
But you hadn't, played 16 games, or you hadn't, played a whole entire year of being a pro. Like, you get knocked very, very fast. And for me, watching my group go in after the fact, like we had a first-round pick, Ziggy Hood from Missouri, and just watching him being a first-round D lineman going into this room of all-pro, like superstars. And then this was the other thing, too. They had just won a Super Bowl. So any rookie coming in, you ain't did nothing.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it. Like, I would think it's weird because, like, you're in college and you're the guy. You're in high school, you were definitely the guy. Yeah. If you were the guy in college, and you were definitely the guy in high school, outside of a very, very select, like, dudes that didn't pick up a football until their senior year and stuff like that. So, of course, nobody's going to be impressed. No. But you're used to getting a certain degree of, like, adulation and honor and all this. You get to the NFL, and they're like, none of this matters, man. Bring your playbook. In fact, you're being cut. Everybody's better than you.
And on top of that, not only just that, but like the media don't talk to you. You're just a walking being in there. Like you get ecstatic when somebody wants to talk to you when you transition from like college to the NFL. Like there's so many different levels to it. That's why, honestly, going back in time and looking at the rookie pay scale, like that's one of the main, like you had – all you did in college, beautiful. Even Vince Young, Rose Bowl, or Reggie Bush, like those performances, awesome, man. We loved watching you the night before our game. You're not a part of our league. Why do we got to pay you this much money because you hadn't proven yourself? And I think it's the idea, too, of what you're just saying. There's so many guys that get washed out super fast because, truth be told, they want to bash you. They want to get a pick from Sam Bradford. They want to get a pick from Matthew Stafford when he comes in, Cam Newton. Oh, you want to run the way you did at Auburn? Let me talk to you real quick on this sideline while I knock you going out of bounds. Or you have a young stud come in at offensive lineman. I got first. Like, I've seen people say that, like, I got first on this guy because they want to prove, like, dude, you don't do anything. And you better earn it throughout camp. You better earn it throughout the season. And the moment you have a slip-up or the group has a slip-up, I've seen this too, to where either wide receiver group, O-line group, or young quarterback, it's the rookie's fault. Because why? You're the weakest link. You have the least experience. You don't know anything about anything, and most of the times it really is the rookies that mess up stuff. Mm-hmm. Like none of that matters. And it's not a hazing thing. It's legitimately a, hey, don't be the weak link. The first time I started, I'll never forget. Like I got so many lectures on what it meant. Like it was the idea. Look, young boy, and that's why the young boy. Hey. When you block a little bit longer. I don't care what you did in college, do more.
You got Foster here.
Yeah. Pissing down his leg.
Moment's too big for him. It was not really athlete.
Not really. My leg. Man, what? It was times I used to get blamed for stuff like, but it was his fault. And I couldn't say that in meetings. I'm like, but it was his fault. Oh, my God. I hated this guy for a while. The guy who I played beside my rookie year would tell my young, dumb self, hey, Mom, stick beside me. We were playing like Baltimore and stuff like that. Mom, stick beside me. And Haloti Nada's over him. And he would tell me, and what do I have to do as a young guy? I got to listen to him. They just won a Super Bowl. He's been a starter here for a while, and he just got paid before the season started. He got so much deference over, like, dude, I got to follow what he says. Mom, stick beside me. I did it so much, and he had an awesome game because I was help side on him the entire time. Meanwhile, the tackle is getting worked or somebody's coming through the B gap on me. And let me tell you, I got just murdered in meetings the next day. Ramon, why weren't you in a B gap? You know what I couldn't say? Well, Justin told me to stay right here with him.
We're going to go to the air app. We'll find somebody.
When I tell you, I thought I was about to get fired so bad. And I'm thinking to myself, and the whole time, the veterans just sitting back there just not saying a word.
Well, of course.
Not saying
because he had a great game thanks to you.
Haloti Nada had no pressure, no nothing. I'm thinking to myself, Justin, you're not going to say anything? You're not going to bail me out? Meanwhile, like I said, you had Suggs on the outside just killing our left tackle or somebody shooting through the B gap. And he told me, I'll never forget, Mom, don't go. Stay with me. And that's all I could think of is like, you not going to tell coach that you told me not to leave? That's rookie stuff right there. There's nothing I could do. Absolutely nothing I can do. But that's what it takes to actually make it in the league. If I'd have said something about him or just, snitched on him and be like, hey, coach, he told me to stick, that would have knocked me even further down the line as far as my respect factor goes.
Well, another thing Herbert said, he talked about it the moment when he realized he was in the NFL. He was in some kind of a practice, like a scrimmage or something like that.
Yeah.
He's like, threw a beautiful ball right to Melvin Ingram. He's like, it was a perfect concept. I knew I had him wide open on the side, and I threw it right to Melvin Ingram. Melvin Ingram just got up and looked at me and pointed at me. And then Herbert's like, okay, all right. When I thought he was open, what I meant to say was, he's covered. I can't throw that pass.
Yep. But what's wild, though, that position right there has got to be one of the more fragile ones because of that. Like, college quarterbacks can't read coverages, the disguises, the way D linemen drop off in coverage, the way their instinct is so much better than what you ever thought yours was. Like, again, I never getting worked the first day in camp. I thought I was just could go and no. But quarterbacks specifically, I've seen quarterbacks just grab their helmets and just like, what am I doing out here?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, those guys got years. Not only they got 4 years of college, but you go in and you put that 5, 6 years, 7 years in the league. What haven't you seen? And this rookie hadn't seen a thing. Like, yeah, he's a practice squad quarterback. It's legitimately after the fact, unless they can really push through something. That's why when you have a young guy who's the guy, like Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville, you got to protect him. I think he's still a rookie basically with what Urban Meyer did to him last year. He didn't learn anything last year.
He learned what not to do and how not to be coached.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. That's the telephone number, 737-1045. Pro Bowl was 41-35. Who won it, AFC?
AFC did 5 years in a row. I don't even know if the NFC cares anymore. None of their quarterbacks play, though, either.
I don't know if the AFC cared.
I mean, the way TJ got the strip fumble yesterday, they care about something. That tackle was so mad.
Every once in a while, there's one guy out there who's like, I'm going to make a highlight real quick.
And you can see TJ. I got to show you the clip. He slapped the ball out, and the tackle looked at him like, what are you doing?
Hey, man, we have an agreement.
and Myles Garrett just runs a touchdown.
We'll have Mike DeCourcy join us a little bit later on. We can talk college basketball, but we're also certainly going to talk some NFL. And also, in the final hour of the show today, Ben Arthur, Titans beat writer for the Tennessean. No Aaron Rodgers reports this morning.
None. Oh, I know why. Also, Jon Robinson had a really good interview yesterday. Jon Robinson basically said, y'all get off my back. I am Jon Robinson, and this is the Temptations.
I am the captain now.
I am the captain now.
Like I said, basically, get used to 17 being the quarterback.
Yeah.
17 is going to be the quarterback. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Hey, so eyeglasses. I've been doing them since second grade, since Miss Peterson's class. And it was time to not do it anymore. And it wasn't really like a breaking point. It's just, I've got a daughter now. She's pulling my wife's glasses off at present. So my wife's probably second guessing it as well. But just the foggy stuff and not being able to wear the sunglasses you want to and all this kind of stuff. I wanted a different life. And LASIK MD came around and it just felt like this is the time. 10 minutes, in and out, life-changing. Usually with the procedures that they can do for you now, you're in and out so fast and you're back to action, regular action the next day. Me, I had to have a little bit of a different procedure. In fact, they're actually going to touch up my left eye just a little bit here in a few weeks because my left eye's stigmatism has just caused problems my entire life. But they feel like they can get me to a place that I'd never dreamed possible. And in terms of care, Dr. Greenberg, who's done over 80,000 LASIK procedures, including mine, and LASIK MD as a company has done over 1 million in North America. Dr. Greenberg and Dr. Nguyen and everybody at LASIK MD have treated me so well throughout this entire process. I've never felt like I've been in the dark. I've always felt like I understood exactly what was going on. They've told me everything that I needed to hear, even if it wasn't the information I wanted. I wanted to have the easy stuff too, but, less than 1% end up having to have what I had. But they've done it so well. I feel great. They also offer a low price guarantee. If you think it's out of your price range, it's not. They've got the most advanced technology, but they're going to match whatever competitor's price you find, then take off an additional discount from the total cost of your procedure. With LASIK starting at $490 per eye, you have no more reason to wait. All you got to do is find out if you're a candidate. Schedule a consultation, a free LASIK consultation on the website. Same thing I did, LASIKMD.com. Go to LASIKMD.com. When you go in for your consultation, tell them you heard JMart talking about it, and you trust them. I promise you. I trust them. You can trust them too. It's LASIKMD.com. Skilo.
Allah.
Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. There's always that moment where you realize that you're a rookie. Ramon, you told your story. For me, I walked in BMOC down in Georgia for NWA Wildside.
Yeah.
Thought I was going to be the guy. Nobody cared. And I was foolish enough to try to get my friends pushed, guys that were in the building, trying to get them higher spots. When I got into creative, and what I should have been doing is getting everybody else. Should have been pushing ideas for everybody else as opposed to the people I walked in the door with. But they were like, "Hey man, we're gonna do this thing tonight where you're the ring announcer. You're gonna get up out of the chair at some point. We're gonna have some fun." I'm like, "All right, cool." Dusty Rhodes is sitting next to me, and this first time I've been around Dusty, and this is where Dusty. When you really learn, Dusty has two voices: the one you hear on TV, and then there's Virgil. And Virgil's sitting next to me, educating me about pro wrestling while I'm sitting next to him and telling me all this stuff. And then flipping back into character when he thinks somebody's paying attention.
Really?
So I get up to do this spot. I'm in a suit, everything. And what ends up happening is I get thrown over the barricade by a 600-pound guy by the name of Iceberg.
For real?
I get hit in the face. I get my glasses taken off and broken.
Yeesh.
And then
In real life?
Yeah. Got them broken. They were expensive, too. I wasn't thrilled with this part of it. But so, of course, I'm just selling it and all, but I didn't really have to because I was getting hit. I was getting beat up. And I want to say it was a guy by the name of Jeff G. Bailey. But there were a couple people involved in this. One of them leans down, and I think it was Jeff.
That's Iceberg?
Yeah, that's Iceberg. That's the one. Just leans down to me while I'm on the ground. Not sure what's happened to me over the last 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Welcome to NWA Wildside."
What?
And then they just go in the ring and finish off what they were doing. That whole thing was my moment.
No.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's the dude, yeah.
That's pretty wild. I'm looking at him. He looked like Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bigger, though.
Yeah, he's bigger than Bam Bigelow. Wow.
He used to do a senton off the top rope. Or off second rope, I think.
Straight up?
Yeah.
God, dog.
Big dude.
Big athlete.
Yeah.
Dude, you was telling me, I was on break telling you how mad I was about getting ousted my rookie year. I thought I was about to get cut. And the thing is, I think the coach knew that he told me not to leave him on the pass set, but he just railed me the entire meeting because it was my first start. I'm the rookie, undrafted. They had a third-round pick that they could have been playing. Boy, hard times are real.
Like I said, I told you, I had a feeling the coach knew, like you said, and the coach was in effect while burying you.
Yep.
You're supposed to pay attention to what he wasn't saying, which is don't let these people lead you astray.
I was led.
You got hoodwinked, bamboozled.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah, I was telling you, too, the center at the time, former Titan, too, by the way. Former Titan, man. He got me bad. All I can think is...
Did you ever say anything, or did you just learn from it?
I just learned from it. I didn't like him.
I bet you didn't do it again.
I did not do it. It was like, you better earn your own paycheck.
Yeah.
I was legitimately mad about that, man.
You got.
I got. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that's ever been in a position where you knew you were right and the other person was super wrong and you just had to bite the bullet. Sounds like parenting, doesn't it?
You mentioned his name earlier. I know who it is.
I did. You know who it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was, I said, I don't know if he got social media. It was Justin Hartwig. He young boyed me big time. By that time, too, it was also around the time we were having rookie dinner. So your boy had to pay like $8,000 for a meal. The third round pick had to pay $12,000.
So was that the game where Nada killed Ben Roethlisberger on the field?
No, it wasn't that one. It was
later on.
Dennis Dixon was starting because Ben was out that game for some reason.
Dennis Dixon.
Yeah, Dennis Dixon was starting. We had to go on the road.
Man, he was
to
great in
Baltimore.
college, and nobody cared in the NFL.
Fourth string quarterback.
Yeah, fourth string quarterback. What's wild with Dennis was supposed to be the Heisman winner.
Yeah, he was a beast at Oregon.
Yeah. So I ain't going to say supposed to, like it was definitely going to happen, but I don't think there was much going to stop him when Oregon finally turned the page of who they were going to be. He's still a legend. Dennis I think he works at Oregon now. It's one of those connections, man, to where if you are the right type of person, go to the right in-state school, it can pay off for you. He's like Phil's Knight's guy. Kind of crazy.
615-737-1045, 737-1045. If you have a story about the moment that you found out you didn't know anything at your career, that's a story I wouldn't mind hearing today. You know? I think we could do that today.
Yeah.
If you got it. We got 3 more hours to go. We'll start to look a little bit at the Super Bowl. Obviously, we're going to parcel that out throughout the week. We won't predict the game until Friday, even though we'll probably tell you before then. Probably tell you today. Who knows?
I really don't know yet.
I don't either. So that's us telling you right there. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about the matchup and the quarterbacks. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Hey, so I want to talk to you about hair loss. It might be a thing that as soon as I said that, you just kind of shuddered, right? That hair stand up on the back of your neck just a little bit because it's something it's worrying you, maybe. You're just thinning just a little bit, but it just doesn't look quite the same. You just realize it's not as thick and full as it used to be. Well, PAI Medical is the answer. I trust him, and you can trust him too. Michael Ramsey and his staff, nobody better to deal with on a human level and certainly on a professional level. PAI has advanced treatments, surgical if you need to go that route, but they've also got things like laser treatment where you go in, it's about a 20-minute deal. You sit down, doesn't hurt a bit. You just kind of sit there, hang out with your phone or watch TV for a couple of minutes, and that's going to help thicken and full up what you've got. It's going to stop the loss as it gets progressive along the way. It's just going to cut it off. You do that for 6 to 8 weeks or so, you start to see a bit of a difference in terms of no more shedding and things like that. They've got options. All the advanced options, non-surgical, surgical, I'm using them right now, as a matter of fact. And I'm already starting to see the differences here in the next couple of months is when I'm really going to start to see the differences. But my crown was thinning. I decided I was going to do it. There's a little bit of vanity to it. You want to see yourself in photos and like that look a little bit better on. They've been doing this, has PAI Medical for over 25 years. All they do is hair. The longer you wait, the harder it is to pull this off. They can do so much for you, but there's no reason to sit for 6 months and decide whether or not it's right for you. They got something that can fit your budget, and they can do it today. And I want you to call them and tell them you heard JMart. Kind of tell you now's the time. 615-376-6010. 615-376-6010. Talk to Michael and his staff. You'll be surprised at what they can do. Or visit them online at wegrowhair.com. That's wegrowhair.com.
Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. The AFC defeated the NFC in the Pro Bowl yesterday, 41-35. The Titans, represented by Mike Vrabel and his staff on the AFC side. Of course, Kevin Byard, Harold Landry, Roger Saffold all played in the game. Byard had an interception. Landry, 5 total tackles. Justin Herbert and Max Crosby, the offensive and defensive MVPs, respectively. Saints running back in VFL, Alvin Kamara, arrested on a battery charge on Sunday in Las Vegas after being accused of injuring someone at a nightclub Saturday night, taken into custody following playing in the Pro Bowl. Miami Dolphins have agreed to a deal with the 49ers, with 49ers offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel to make him their next head coach. Houston Texans are in talks with their associate head coach and defensive coordinator Lovie Smith about potentially becoming their next head coach. That's according to reports. Women's basketball yesterday, UConn defeated the Lady Vols 75-56. Joey Logano won the Clash at the Coliseum. Tom Hoagie won the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, his first PGA Tour title. And Super Bowl, it'll be right here on The Zone. And starting Wednesday, the Buck Rising Show in 3HL, live from Radio Row in L.A., thanks to Ferguson HVAC, Two Rivers Ford, and a Moment's Peace Salon in Daysball. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Hour number 2, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. I see Jeremy Fowler on TV live discussing what Aaron Rodgers is going to do.
Yeah.
I think the consensus is starting to turn towards he's staying where he is.
Yeah.
That the relationship is better. And I believe that if he wants to win a Super Bowl, that's still the best place.
Still the best.
You don't want to go to the AFC if you can help it. And then past that, it would be like San Francisco, and there's no reason why Green Bay would trade you there.
No, absolutely not.
I still think Denver's probably in the mix. But the more I think about it, he has said Devontae Adams is the best player he's ever played with. And that's the key to this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to tag Devontae Adams and bring Aaron Rodgers and run this thing back one more time, I mean, they just had the best record in the league again. They're 13 wins the last 3 seasons. There's not really a reason to leave unless you just can't handle it. And I think that from what I've heard, the relationship with the GM got better.
Right.
With Gutekunst during the year.
Yeah.
And certainly I don't think he has any problem with Matt LaFleur. If he wants to stay, that's going to be the best chance for a Super Bowl. Now, if he wants to follow Hackett and those guys to Denver because he likes them, I could get that. But it's a much harder road to the Super Bowl through the AFC.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
it's like a retirement community in the NFC. With Brady just leaving and Breeze just leaving,
Yep.
There's a lot of unproven guys, and then there's guys that, like, in the AFC, you can get past 5 quarterbacks that you really know that's going to be a dogfight to deal with. You might be able to get 7 or 8 quarterbacks in. NFC, not quite as much.
Yeah. Who's his biggest competitors? If Russ stays NFC?
Yeah, I mean, whoever San Francisco rolls with, it's not Garoppolo, still probably going to be in the mix. Stafford is probably the guy. Dak, if they've maybe. But, I mean, you start to look around. Washington didn't really have a quarterback right now. Jalen Hurts, he played better than people thought he was going to play, but I don't know that he's really that guy yet.
No.
The Saints are in transition. Winston's going to be okay. Kyler, I guess you could put there.
His team.
Yeah, that team, yeah. But there's a lot of transition. I mean, what's Justin Fields going to do in year 2? We'll see. But it's much easier. Like, in the AFC, I know who the guys are.
Yeah.
Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, Deshaun, if he plays.
Yep.
Derek Carr, at least for right now, has got to be mentioned. Justin Herbert, who I forgot to mention, who's could end up being better than all of them.
Yeah.
Like, you can get there. Mac Jones is a starter that's entrenched, that's already won some games and made the playoffs. Tannehill's no slouch. Like, there's – and then, look, if Trevor comes alive under new leadership –
it's at least just,
it's just harder. It's harder.
Competition, for sure. It makes sense to, and just honestly looking at their free agents. Of course, you got Devontae. Robert Tonyan is up. You'd think they try to find a way to keep him, which, I mean, they can go get somebody in the draft this year, too. Dennis Kelly is up this year also. Well, she was a mid-season signing anyhow, but nobody on their free agent list is just locked all the way in. I mean, Alan Lazard is up, but he'll have a smaller deal, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling also. So, I mean, he's made receivers out of nobody anyhow. So it's the idea that this is the most stable team. Defensively, you got a squad already. Everything that you need in Green Bay is there. So, Aaron, why are you looking at other places? The only thing you got to say to him is I think he'll be back too. So in Green Bay, there's no sense in just no matter how much land he buys in Brentwood. No matter how
Can't
much
even say it
land,
without a snicker.
I couldn't. Because I don't know if, and truth be told, I don't know if the Titans Nation really ran with the idea that he was going to be the quarterback. You think for real?
Some did.
They really thought that. Okay.
Sure.
Everybody lives here.
And until he said he's going back to Green Bay, if you want to believe that, continue to believe that.
Yeah. It's so funny about it, too, because people do move here or stay here because they can just be people here. I had people telling me yesterday, of course, I'm at RJ Miles' baseball practice. It's that time of year again, guys.
When is it not, Moan?
Well, baseball is always all year long, okay? You got to be doing something baseball-wise. But I'm having a conversation with, some of the parents talking about, Aaron Rodgers buying land in Brentwood and stuff. And you know what some of the conversations we had? Man, everybody stays here, though. It's like, because they can be normal people is where the conversation led to. It's like, man, you know how many times I've seen Garth Brooks at the Publix in Goodlettsville? I'm like, really? It's like, yeah, he's just in there. He goes to his haircut place that they go to. It's like, nobody bothers him. I'm like, the Garth Brooks? Like, nobody says it. It was like.
That's just kind of the Nashville way, man. You see people, you let them live their lives.
Yeah. Which is be human, So it's many people here who have those conversations of, yeah, I've seen A-list star at the Walmart, or maybe not Walmart. I've seen A-list star at Target or Starbucks or a restaurant that you wouldn't expect them to. Because why? That's just the way it goes here. So everybody wants to live that way here. Next is going to be who lives here is going to play for the Titans? Tom Brady?
He's going to come out of retirement.
Yeah. Grunk. We need a tight end here.
Well, they got George Kittle already here.
No, screw God. Yeah, we need Grunk here. He's a Super Bowl winner.
Guess that's true. I'd rather have Kittle.
Well, he's already here.
At this point in his career.
Yeah, no doubt. Everybody's seen somebody here, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember one of the weirdest ones. I was at a concert. I think it was a Jake Bugg concert at the Ryman.
Yeah.
And the guy selling T-shirts. I was like, what? That dude looks like that can't be him. No, it was him.
Bugg?
No, it was Adrian Grenier from Entourage selling T-shirts.
Stop.
For a band that he was helping to try and get started up that was opening for Jake Bugg that night. It was actually the Adrian Grenier who was there selling the T-shirts. Vinny Chase was selling shirts at the Ryman for this all girls rock band.
Get out
And I was just like, huh?
That's cool. That's cool stuff, man.
It was. I mean, I was like, well, that's awesome that you're the one doing it. And he was cool. He was all kinds of cool, and he was trying to help this band get established and stuff. But I was like, that's not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen people just like everybody else has. Like, a lot of people have seen Vince Gill walking around, stuff like that, or Nicole Kidman, or Jack White, or something, whatever it might be. But wasn't expecting Adrian Grenier, souvenir salesman at the Ryman.
What's crazy about this, athletes living here is like, I ain't gonna say real Titans fans, but like very like down the middle Titans fans. They'll be like, yo, stop. I just had my buddy James text me, was like, stop it. I'm like, why I gotta stop it about, Gronk being signed to the Titans? It's what it is, Jay. We won't do that here.
The Joe Burrow stuff you were sending me during the break, or telling me during the break. People need to slow the roll.
It's that week. Let me see if I can find it to read off.
We'll do it after the break. You find it. That'll give you a little bit of time to find it. 615-737-1045, 737-1045. What's your brush with greatness in Nashville? And if it's Aaron Rodgers over the last week, definitely want that. Definitely looking for that.
He bought my kids' team baseball bats. I'm playing.
I'm going to buy a baseball bat.
They're not. I'm joking.
I'm going to bring one into the studio. Watch yourself. I have 4 hours a day. You got a tall order of lip. I got a short stack of patience.
Got a short stack of knuckles for you.
I don't know how that would work. We'll be right back. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Hey, are you prepping for the big game this weekend? Are you already looking at the food or whatever it is that you're going to do? Have you thought about maybe upping that television game so that everybody's really impressed when they roll over? Lee Company offering a special $99 off your TV mounting and installation for big screen TVs. So now's the time you can get that thing on the wall, make sure the wires are hidden, up-to-date, modern look, everything that you're looking for. You don't want to see those messy wires. You're getting tired of the TV just kind of sitting there. You'd like for it to be on the wall, but you've never done it. You think it's probably more intense and it's a lot of work. It's not something you have to worry about. But if you can get $100 off, $99 off a TV mounting and installation, why in the world wouldn't you try to do this before Sunday comes along? You should take advantage of this great deal by calling Lee Company today at 615-567-1000. That's 615-567-1000, or you can go online to leecompany.com/promotions. Lee Company, all you need.
The moment we've been waiting for since September is finally here. And in honor of the big game, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56, is giving new customers 56-1 odds on either team. You bet $5 or more and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. And if you're not a new customer, cool. Guess what? The fun part's for you. Bet on Super Bowl 56 props instead. DraftKings Sportsbook offer a wide range of props throughout the game. Take your shot at winning cash by predicting props like a non-quarterback would throw a pass, fourth down conversions, total yardage, and so much more. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code WGFX and get 56-1 odds on either team. And you bet $5 or more and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. But that's promo code WGFX at the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56. And you must be 21 years and older and present in Tennessee to bet. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Here's the snap. Cousins back to pass. He's looking. He moves to his left. Cousins flips his hips. He's going deep down the field in the area of Deebo Samuel. It's going to be intercepted by Kevin Byard of the Titans. Running back across the 35 to the 40, 45, 50, 45 to the 40. Byard to the 35. Cuts left to the 30. Byard's going to lateral it back. It's caught around the 30-yard line. Down to the 25. It's Kenny Moore of the Colts across the 20 and finally out of bounds at around the 15-yard line.
What was that, Shafe?
Kevin Byard's interception yesterday.
There you go. I'm just letting it play.
Your comeback music's been awesome, Shafe.
It has been. Once in a blue moon, Shafe does something right.
He's on today with the Stilo and then this. Stilo or Skilo?
Ski.
Ski?
S-K-E-E.
I remember being a young boy watching that video. It's like, man, I can't wait till I get tall. For real.
Skilo never did.
You got tall at like 10.
I did get tall. I couldn't help it, man.
Yesterday at Indian Lake, you saw two kids, and my wife was like, hey, is that Ramon's kids? I'm like, I don't think the tall one is tall enough. Because we saw them, we saw from behind, we never saw the faces.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't think RJ is tall enough to be RJ.
That kid ain't tall enough. That's funny.
He was like my height, but I think RJ is a little taller than me now. We're pretty close.
Yeah, he's
maybe
close.
maybe he was, but I'm pretty sure your kids weren't in Indian Lake yesterday.
No, they weren't there. We were in Clarksville yesterday.
Oh, okay.
By the way, 24 always has an accident.
People don't know how to drive, man.
No. By the way, torpedo potholes are back. Man, you want to talk about...
dude, those things are the worst.
Oh, my
Right now, they
gosh.
are bad.
The amount of potholes going up and down 24. By the way, if you're driving in the right lane, you're asking to have your tires flattened, period. No other way around it. If you are driving in the right lane on 24, you're begging to have your tires flattened. I want to talk, like, it's like legitimate, like 6-inch holes of like potholes down, up and down 24. I think it's west. And coming back, going east isn't that bad into the city. Man, it is. Driving to Clarksville yesterday, we saw, I think, like 5 cars on the side of the road fixing the flat. On top of that, we saw all of the 18-wheeler, like, what do they want to call them? Tire, the shards of their tires on the road, too. It's bad going up 24, man. Tots and pairs to your cars, man, for real. I legitimately hope nobody has that. I actually saw somebody with a Porsche Cayenne. They were in the middle median. I think they had just got run off the road when we was driving past. Or they hit a flat and just veered into the median. There was a car on fire yesterday on 24.
Whoa.
I'm telling you, it's a war zone up 24.
It's like The Walking Dead Season 1.
For real. Because I was using Waze, the lights flickering in the studio. I was using Waze to try to see, what people were communicating. It was like, yeah, there's a full-fledged fire on the interstate right now. They gave us like a 3-hour delay. It ended up being like close to an hour, maybe hour 15. Boy, it was real. War zone up 24.
Easy.
I know. I'm just warning the people as they ride in because, that's people that listen to us in Clarksville too.
Are there?
Yeah.
615-737-1045. Drew in Ashland City. Drew, what's up?
What's up, Drew? I was just in your area.
Hey, guys. I have a great man that I've met and gotten to know pretty well here in the Nashville area. His name is Tim Carter Corbin.
Ah, yes.
He is a phenom. Couple of stories, at the game at UT last year, the fans were incredibly hostile.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of, we'll just say hostile and leave it at that. Tim managed to coach through and win 2 of the 3 games. Afterwards, he told Tony Vitella, he said, you have an Omaha team. And he did. And he made, and the balls made, he said nothing negative. And then when he was responding to the press or whoever about the atmosphere at the game, he said Tennessee had some really good fan action.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nothing, never says anything negative about anybody or any team or anything that I've ever heard. And I want to tell you a story J.J. Bleday told me. And I've sourced it and found out it's true. At the first meeting with his new team every fall, he spends the first 15 minutes of the first meeting teaching all the players, particularly the new ones, how to brush their teeth properly. And you say, why would he do that? Because he's going to teach those kids, as he calls them, how to take the absolute best care of themselves in every facet of their lives. Academic, baseball, hygiene, being, taking the high road with their character, you name it. He is a phenomenal person. He's in his 60s, and when the new team comes in and they start their conditioning exercises in the beginning of the fall, he leads from the front. They follow him.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the gym every day at 4 a.m. to work out himself.
Wow.
He doesn't say things. He doesn't motivate by saying things. He lives them. And that's so rare. He's a phenomenal human being. You guys, you should call him up and get him on the radio some with you.
Oh, well, yeah. I've had him. I've interviewed him before.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great guy, Drew.
Oh, yeah, definitely a great guy.
Just awesome to have in the community.
By the way, I don't think Vandy Baseball needs an endorsement.
Nah.
They're just good. And he's good. Everybody around him I've heard say that about Tim Corbin. Legitimately is the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they said he stayed in the city as far as like in the city of Nashville just so he can run to Vanderbilt. I think he's a Green Hills guy, if I'm not mistaken. He's one of those type of dudes. So, yeah. I honestly thought he was going to say that, Vitello bashed him or something like that. And I don't think Vitello's that guy. He's happy to be in a position that he's in and actually got Tennessee at the spot as far as baseball-wise. Some credibility, some notoriety, By the way, both of these teams, Vandy and the Vols, are snatching up all of the in-state talent when it comes to, like, Tennessee baseball, which is so good to see, too. It's just watching those two go back and forth. I've seen some kids from East Robinson. Lipscomb has got some kids. JP2's got some kids. There's, like, a bunch of, like, being around that circle. You hear they're recruiting, and then most of the times I encourage kids, get away, go somewhere else to play ball. But you got really two in-state baseball teams that are that good. And I know baseball don't move the ticker as far as the conversation goes, but you talk about college baseball in this area, especially Nashville, you got to get up out of your seat and be like, yeah, this is something to go see and be proud of.
Mm-hmm. Did you find it?
Yeah, I did.
All right, so there's some things being said about Joe Burrow that need to be mentioned.
Super Bowl week. So, for Joe Burrow, man, the legend of his just continues to grow, okay? When Joe Burrow was born, he drove his mom home from the hospital.
Oh, Lord.
That's the legend. Games have to accept Joe Burrow's terms of service. Joe Burrow is the reason Waldo is hiding. Joe Burrow can divide by 0. Last one and the best one. Superman owns a pair of Joe Burrow undies.
Love it. Joe Burrow, Chuck Norris jokes.
Yeah, literally, that's what's happened here.
I hadn't seen that. The Superman owns a pair of Joe Burrow undies is the best right there.
I don't know what to say, man.
I don't either, but it's quite hilarious. I'll tell you that much. He's going to the pressure on him isn't high because I think he's really built for it. But the expectation as far as the way the media is going to run with this, win or loss come Sunday, he's going to have the most press, most positive press going into next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think even more than Patrick Mahomes, even more than him, even more than Josh Allen, I think, even with as great as he played, especially the second half of the season, even more than who's another young stud out there, Justin Herbert, because he's a West Coast guy. What they're doing and the cap that they have this offseason, that's going to be the true tale of where Cincinnati is too, is where they start spending money this free agency. That right there. We say, Devontae Adams is going to go wherever Aaron Rodgers goes. But if Cincinnati drops a bag, give him almost $30 million a year, would he go play with Joe Burrow? AFC team. They already got a solid group of wide receivers, though. They got a one in JMart.
For sure.
They got a lot of cap space going into this free agent. A lot of cap space. So I can't wait to see what the NFL is going to do with Joe Burrow this offseason. Not that I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I know it's bittersweet being in that division, being that team, but I do think the league humbles a lot of guys. There's a lot of dudes that are really, really good. There's always somebody. There's a rush to crown the next greatest of all time. We talked about this with Mahomes and about just slow down just a little bit, let him have his career. Stephen A. Smith putting him top 5 all time right now is one of the just most insane things I've ever seen. No, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh.
Like, we got to get to the end of his career before we can put him in there with Joe Montana and Tom Brady and some of these guys. Like, yeah, the talent is there, but there's still no indication for sure that he's going to win 5 Super Bowls or 3 Super Bowls, because we all thought it was going to be preordained, and he's been to 3. But he...
On top of that, there's another guy that came out on the scene the exact same way. The way Aaron Rodgers came out. And he's only gotten 1. Only been back to 1. Now, Patrick got him beat there.
Yeah, he does.
I'll be honest with you. With the way Aaron Rodgers took the league by storm, I'd have bet the craziest bet ever, Jay, to say he'll have 3 by now. He still only got 1 and hadn't been back since 2010.
Right.
It legitimately blows my mind, especially on the NFC side. So who did he have to go up against? Breeze? Eli?
Mm-hmm.
I got to throw Eli in there. Russ 2 times. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Tom. Who else on the NFC side just took it from him?
That's it. I mean, there's just a lot. It's really hard to win in this league. And I think that we need to get further down the road before we talk about Mahomes the way that people want to talk about him. And the same thing is true about all these guys. Like, there's a lot of really good talent, which probably means maybe this Super Bowl thing's going to be spread out a little bit.
Yeah, I hope
in the AFC. Like, because there's a lot of guys that could win it. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are good enough to win it. And then, of course, they have to have the teams around them that show up at the right time most of the time. They have to have the right coaching. They have to stay healthy. Margin for error is small in the NFL, which, again, is why you look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers and say, why would you leave the NFC?
Yeah.
To go to that meat grinder with dudes that are younger, that now have better arms, that
offense is a little bit different.
Yeah, everything is set for them to walk into a situation when you played your whole career in one spot. Like, I understand the argument for staying in Green Bay unless you just can't get along with them.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't seem to me like this situation is as bad as it was last time. We're going to find out within a month, because he's not going to do Devontae Adams sour. He's going to make sure before the franchise tag situation's set up that they've made their decision so that they know what to expect and all of those kinds of things.
Yeah. If
I had to bet now, because I was saying he was either going to leave or retire, now I'm thinking he's going to stay.
Yeah, I think he's going to stay. I just can't see him doing Devontae, to your point, like that. Because there's a lot, like, they have to be tampering right now with Denver if that's where he wants to go.
I think from what I can tell, that's pretty much the only potential landing spot.
It's Denver or nowhere else.
Yeah.
Denver's defense is as good as Green Bay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It is just as good.
Yeah. Now, if you get Aaron Rodgers, you probably lose Surtain.
You got to lose somebody, right?
You probably got to lose 2 guys. Like, I heard Tim Hasselbeck say last week, Green Bay's not going to pick up the phone for less than 3 number ones. Potentially are going to ask for 4.
For Aaron?
Yeah.
What is
and a player, and not like a scrub.
You have to, and you know why? Because they're not sure on Jordan Love.
Well, no, they're sure.
And it's the quarterback.
They're sure.
They're sure on Jordan Love.
They're sure it's not him.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, like, whoa, what changed?
They're certain that that's not it.
And they just lost to OC.
Mm-hmm. OC, quarterback coach.
Wow. That's a hard way to do business, though. If you're Denver. Now, you are mostly complete. Aaron Rodgers made names out of wide receivers we didn't know.
Yeah.
Tight ends we didn't know. Tanya's going to get a nice bag because of that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of those guys. I mean, I think it's a 2-year proposition. I think he retires in 2 years, whether it's in Green Bay or otherwise. I don't think he's playing to 44. I think he's got other interests already, and I just think he's going to be ready to walk away here in a few years.
That's a long time playing, dude.
I know. That's what I'm saying. 2 more years. You take a crack at that. I understand why you would, especially if the Rams finish this off. But if he doesn't win, which is very possible because there's a lot of great quarterbacks that aren't going to win this year, then what have you done? That's the thing. Like, if it's going to cost you 3 minimum and 4, like, you are really wagering for a nearly 40-year-old quarterback.
So where do we put Aaron's career then? The greatest to only just get one? I guess Marino's the greatest to ever get none. So where does that put Eli?
You just talk about his talent. And everybody's like, he's the most talented guy to ever play the position. Maybe so, but he only won 1 Super Bowl. That's why I think he desperately wants a second one, which is why his number one factor really should be where's the best chance for me to win a Super Bowl so I can get in the crew of guys that have won more than one.
If he wants to go to the AFC, Denver, he's still got to go through Herbert.
And Mahomes in the division.
And whatever Josh McDaniels does with Vegas. That's not an easy division.
No, it isn't.
If we assume they're going to do what they did last year or better, we expect the Raiders to be better because they got more stability and a coach that knows how to call
they made the
offenses.
playoffs.
Yeah. But now they legitimately knows how to call playoffs and don't have a coach that's doing silly stuff outside in the media or whatever he did. And not only that, well, it's his emails that got him. But you have an opportunity to get something in the draft where you lost 2 wide receivers. You know, you get a lot of the fluff out of the way. So it says, I expect them to be better this year, Las Vegas Raiders.
I mean, look, I know the Vikings are going to hire a new head coach, but they're right now not in a position where I fear them. If I'm Rodgers, I'm like, well, we're going to win the division. It's the same thing as if you were going to go to the AFC, you would come to the AFC South if you had it your way. Yeah. Because and if you went to one of the 2 obvious locations, like if you wanted to replace Carson Wentz or Ryan Tannehill with Aaron Rodgers say, okay, well, we're going to win the South. They're going to win the NFC North because the Lions aren't ready. Yeah. The Vikings are going to be in a transition phase, and they don't have the quarterback. And the Bears are, I don't know what their new coach is going to do, but it's going to take time. Mm-hmm. And you've still got a second-year player, and Allen Robinson dropped off a cliff last year.
He did.
So what are you expecting?
Well, that's because his quarterback play was cheeks, though, too.
Well, right.
Allen.
There was no chemistry there, and there was problems with Nagy the whole year, and it was just a mess. But you could just show up, you feel like, if you're Aaron Rodgers and win the NFC North.
Yeah.
That puts you right back in the playoffs, at worst as a wild card.
If you hear me snickering over here, it's for a reason. I continue to just drag Tannehill in the chat.
Oh, Lord. What's being said about him now?
Tannehill is fine if the goal is to just make the playoffs.
No, look. That critique is absolutely right until he proves otherwise. That's right. You could do a lot worse than Ryan Tannehill, okay? As long as you're not expecting too much once you get to January. Until further notice. If he shows up next year, balls out, and you're in the Super Bowl, we can have a reevaluation process. But until further notice, all the evidence says no in terms of getting you further than making the playoffs.
Not only that, these are Titans fans. I know they are that are saying it's Tanner choke. Or what other? 2 more years is all they're saying. Like, y'all are hard on Tannehill. And like I said, Jon Robinson did an interview this weekend with the Tennessean, and I'm telling you, it was by Ben Arthur. Give him credit.
We're going to have on in the 4th hour today.
And I'm just thinking to myself, like, what John said, buckle up, y'all.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
He said a few things in the articles, just like, one, appreciate me because I changed this around, or we changed this around as far as the front office with Jon Robinson and Amy Adams Strunk. Like,
yep,
it's nowhere to go. Buckle up.
Yep.
Oh, they're on them, though. Oh, they're on them.
We'll keep taking your thoughts on it. If you want to call us, it's 615-737-1045. I know we got Eric in Nashville. Let's get to the break. We get to Eric's phone call on the other side. It is JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone. So I got a scenario for you. you're ready to move and you found the home. You have found your dream home. You're ready. But guess what? This is a top 5 real estate market in the country. So you're competing with other buyers to get your offer selected. And that is not the time for you not to be clear about whether or not your loan's going to be approved. So you've got to get pre-qualified with a lender before house hunting. That's what makes you stand out from the crowd. It gives you and it gives the people selling your dream home an extra layer of reassurance. So are you working with a lender right now that's not giving you the service that you'd like? They're not transparent. They're not good communicators. It's just frustrating. And then you've got slow service. And then you miss your closing date and you potentially lose your dream home. If that's what you're afraid of experiencing or you are experiencing, you're not stuck. You got to reach out for a second opinion, though. As the Southeast leading mortgage lender, my guys at Mortgage Investors Group are ready to help you get not just any loan, but the right home loan. Their team of mortgage experts cares. They're committed to helping you close on time, structure things right, and realize those dreams. So I want you to let Mortgage Investors Group work for you. Go to migonline.com. migonline.com. Find the office nearest to you or text MIG to 31399. That's the 3 letters MIG to 31399 to get pre-qualified. Mortgage Investors Group, the right home loan, equal housing lender, license number 109111.
Yeah, Ryan's our quarterback. I think he's made a lot of plays for us. He's a great leader. He's extremely tough. Love what Ryan brings to our football team. Love what he stands for. And, we're looking forward to him getting back in there and getting back on track and keeping this thing rolling.
I did say that was Jon Robinson with Buck Rising. I did see, I think it was Teron. And I thought this too, and asked a couple of guests this last week. I do think the Titans need to draft somebody. And I've seen, I think it was TD that said they need to look in the first round. They need to look at these guys at the Senior Bowl. And I would agree. Like that's the question I'm asking. I know you have things that you need to address. But if you don't have a quarterback for the future, you don't have very much. Now, is the guy in this class? I don't know. Well, but I think you got to do your due diligence. And if you like a guy, you should probably take a guy.
I'd actually wait till next year.
Well, it just depends on whether or not there's somebody you really like that fits what you want to do in the future.
With where this group is with their OL, I would go O-line, have a guy in training already, then draft a guy next year. Because the thing is, if you get a quarterback this year, you're going to miss on a good class of offensive linemen this year to where you can already get a year under their belt and have a quarterback ready the year after. It's just we can
better
go
than you have the last two.
And that's all I'm saying. Build a team.
Don't get Isaiah, and unfortunately for Raidens may end up being something, but that was a reach that so far is definitely a jury out kind of situation.
Yeah. And you know what? He can be fine because offensive linemen do need time like that. He played well in the 49ers game. I got to give that to him. I will not take that from him. But I think the hits on first got to be a whole lot better. He's got to bet he got to bet 1,000 for the next 3 years on first rounders, I think. That's just me, and I know that's a hard job to have, and I wouldn't want to have it either because you are in charge of building a team. But Jon Robinson's doubling down on 17, and there's nothing you can do about it. Right, 17.
Yeah, look. And certainly Jon Robinson's not going to say he's not the quarterback until he's not the quarterback.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need to prepare yourself.
Yeah.
If you're burying him, you need to prepare yourself. He's going to be the guy, and you got to hope that he's going to be good enough this time around.
Yeah. I see somebody saying, Tannehill's 34. That's very young still for an NFL quarterback. This is not the old days of where they get beat up and they got to retire by 35. No, Tannehill got a lot left.
Yeah, he does. But he's still older than a lot of the guys that are being deemed as better than him right now.
I can push. I'll just push back and say his arm strength still look good. His legs are still fine as far as his ability to run. He just got to get it between the ears on certain stuff, I think. He's not looking like other quarterbacks where you see him deteriorate. I don't actually see that from him.
I don't either, unless you're worried about him regressing to the guy he was that turned the ball over a lot in Miami.
Yeah.
As long as he comes back and he has single-digit interceptions again next year, you'll feel better about it.
Yeah, you will.
Again, he's 10th to 15th, somewhere in that neighborhood probably.
That's still good enough.
And, well, I don't know if it's good enough to win a Super Bowl. That's what this fan base believes they have, is a team that can compete for a Super Bowl. That's why they're down on Tannehill right now.
Still.
It's open season on Tannehill because they feel like if you were just better.
If you were just better.
And that's tough. I know that's tough. Mitchell in Nashville. Mitchell, what's up?
What's up, Mitch?
Hey, how's it going, fellas?
Hey.
Good morning.
Morning. Hey, I just want to talk about this Tannehill thing. Tannehill, when we signed him for the big contract of 3 years or whatever it was, I wasn't a big fan of that. But then when we got Don Loggins or whatever his name is, that's Tannehill's problem this year. That dude needs to go. He's so predictable, runs every first down just about. I mean, if I know what they're going to do, I know that a linebacker knows what they're going to do. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Tannehill's got great potential, man, but we got to have a play caller that's not predictable.
Yeah. So it's
I love my Titans too. Yes, sir. Tighten up. We got next year.
There you go.
That's where everybody is. They want more, and it's paired between two people. Todd
Yeah, it is.
and Tanny.
That's why when you see that Kelly news, you get excited about that. We don't know what any of that's going to be. I think you just need to this might be we're going to stand pat because we believe in what we built.
Yep.
So we're not going to uproot this thing the way a lot of you think maybe needs to be in a couple of key spots. Eric in Nashville. Eric, what's up?
What's up, Eric?
Hey, Ramon, some other quarterbacks you were probably thinking about NFC. There were Nick Foles, Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, Jared Goff. And if I'm not mistaken, he lost in a wild game to the Arizona Cardinals. Was that Kurt Warner in that game?
Well, probably was. I would have to go back and check, but early on, possibly so, because Kurt was still dishing.
Yeah. And he did get to a Super Bowl with the Arizona Cardinals against the Steelers.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
but that was before Aaron, though. Yeah, but you're right.
Yeah. Well, maybe it was. I mean, I couldn't remember. And also, I remember one year, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Aaron Rodgers get hurt? But I think he came back before the end of the season, and I believe the Green Bay Packers made the division winner with something like an 8-7-1 record or whatever.
Yeah.
But he got hurt during the season and actually came back before the end of the year because they thought it was season ended and it was done. Listen, the whole thing about Tannehill, listen, I agree with you, JMart. They're going to have to draft a quarterback, whether or not it's first round or whatever. He's 33 because you don't know, and it's apparently I don't know what Logan Woodside can do, and a lot of people are afraid to find out what he can do. But it's just going to be interesting to see what happens because this team is going to be radically different next year. And of course, I heard the whole thing with Taylor Lewan saying that he thinks he's back to Titan. And if he's not, then he would retire, which that would kind of surprise me. I don't know if I buy that, but I definitely believe if he's back, he's going to have to take some less money. Missed pretty much a large part of the year a couple years ago, and then he was out of the lineup this year. So, you with that tremendous amount of money he's taking, you got to say to Taylor, hey, you coming back, you may have to take some less money, but we'll see. Guys, y'all take care.
I'd like to push back on that with Taylor. Taylor can't afford to take less money. I'm going to be real. Whether y'all like him or not, we're up against the break, but we'll talk about that more, Jay.
Perfect tease.
Yeah.
Yep, 615-737-1045. We will talk about what Ramon just referenced next, and Mike DeCourcy in 25 minutes. JMart Ramon, 1045 The Zone.
Mortgage interest rates are still sitting at an all-time low level, but they are starting to tick up. So if you've been sitting on a fence to get a refi, or if you hadn't gotten your pre-approved home loan locked in, now is the time. You got to quit waiting for a lower rate because we see in current times they are starting to tick up. Interest rates are still sitting in a low 2%, which means by refinancing your 30-year mortgage, the home loan expert can save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month with the simple refi. And the thing is, are you struggling with bills and debt? I know it's a little bit harder out here these days. Stuff is a little bit more expensive, but your home is your biggest asset. And with the home equity so high right now, it's the perfect time to do a cash out refi. They can lower your monthly payments, give you some cash to pay off debt, and have you skip a few mortgage payments. That's how simple it can be. So if you got time, go visit thehomeloanexpert.com. And they are doing more home loans than ever, and they're closing purchases in less than 30 days. So do not wait. Visit thehomeloanexpert.com.
Spring right around the corner. So now you're starting to look at your lawn and your landscape and trying to figure out what you want to do. Well, Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply is what I did last year. I'm so glad I did. They gave me the advice that I needed to get somebody out there, get our lawn in really good shape. It's already actually green on my front lawn. Everything else in the neighborhood is brown. I trust Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. And how about right now, if you want to do it yourself, Kawasaki Parts and Service. They are your source with Kawasaki engine parts, lubricants, and service. Certified Kawasaki techs at every Dickens Turf and Landscape location. Get your lawn equipment serviced or repaired with Kawasaki. Winter is a great time of year to go ahead and get it serviced and winterized. Beat that spring service rush. Avoid winter issues on your equipment so you can buy Kawasaki where the pros buy, and you can get it serviced there. Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. Go where the pros go. Whether you're trimming bushes, cutting grass, just trying to keep the weeds and insects out of your lawn and landscape, professional advice, know-how to help you DIY that lawn and landscape and get it ready for the spring, get it ready for the summer. When you're looking for quality parts, products, and the best advice, the one-stop shop is Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. 9 locations to serve you: Nashville, Cool Springs, Bellevue, Murfreesboro, Brentwood Lawnmower, Hendersonville, Mount Juliet, Franklin, and Knoxville, and coming soon to Maryville. It's my guys at Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply, and always online at dickenssupply.com.
Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. To the Pro Bowl yesterday, the AFC defeated the NFC by a score of 41-35. Plenty of Titans presence there with Mike Vrabel and his staff. Kevin Byard, Harold Landry, and Roger Saffold. Byard had an interception. Landry, 5 total tackles. Saints running back in VFL Alvin Kamara arrested on a battery charge on Sunday in Las Vegas after being accused of injuring someone at a nightclub Saturday night. Taken into custody following playing in the Pro Bowl yesterday. Miami Dolphins have a new head coach. San Francisco 49ers offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel. Houston Texans in talks with their associate head coach and defensive coordinator Lovie Smith about potentially becoming their head coach, according to reports. Women's hoops yesterday, UConn defeated the Lady Vols 75-56. Joey Logano won the clash at the Coliseum. Of course, the Super Bowl, you're going to hear it right here on The Zone coming up on Sunday. Starting Wednesday this week, the Muck Rising Show in 3HL live from Radio Row in Los Angeles, thanks to Ferguson, HVAC, Two Rivers Ford, and a Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5, The Zone.
What's happening? Third hour, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Mike DeCourcy, Sporting News, will join us in the next segment. 11-year NFL veteran Vol for Life, Ramon Foster and Jonathan Schaefer. I'm Jason Martin, at Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon. 615-737-1045. We are brought to you by All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville, allfourseasonsgarages.com. I got a LiftMaster. You should get a LiftMaster.
Yeah.
Tell them the one that I got is the one you want. The one with the LED light comes on as soon as you walk into the garage. It's fancy.
Nice.
Fancy and nice.
Mm-hmm. Don't even have to change the light bulb on that one.
No, you don't. And it's super bright, too. Not going to have any bugs in the house either.
Tell you what, if you I told you tonight the smoke alarms was going off.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that story.
Left the lights on in the garage. And we was trying to figure out there's literally no smoke. And I was like, well, is it carbon monoxide? Nothing. Kind of find out, like, I'm really like, where is the fire in my house? It's 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. The alarms are going off. You mentioned no bugs in there. Bugs got into the white smoke alarm because they were attracted to it because it looked like a light and was setting off my smoke alarms in the house at 1, 2 o'clock. And it was, of course, this was the summertime. Flip the lights off in the garage. Cool, bam. Nah, the bugs were having a time of their life, okay, in my garage at night. I don't know how they were triggering it, but boy, I almost snatched that thing out of the wall. I was so mad when I finally figured out what was happening. You want to talk about chapped.
Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers, right?
Definitely. All of the tots, all of the pears.
All of the tots and the
potatoes and fruit.
Yeah.
So, Mon, we were talking about Taylor Lewan and his comments about taking less money.
Yeah. So this is the thing about Taylor taking less money. Like, I love the fact that he sold himself to the Tennessee Titans and the fact that he wants to be a lifer here. And you know what? I would want to be also seeing this team from 2014. And he said it also on 3HL and he said it in other places. And everybody's kind of referenced to that fact, winning 5 games in 2 years. That's a hard take.
Yeah.
And being a part of that process to flip it over, like, man, no, I want to see this thing through. If we can get back to an AFC championship game and potentially get to the Super Bowl, I want to be a part of that. Like, imagine had Andrew Whitworth not gone to, the Rams, and then he sees Cincinnati in the Super Bowl. He would bite that bullet like, man, if I'd have just stayed there, to watch the turnover become. And, Taylor saying that, or the idea that Taylor has to take less money because of, you think he had a downfall in his play or he's starting to trickle down? No, not the case. Case in point, Ronnie Stanley signed the highest contract ever for an offensive lineman. He's been hurt the last 2 years. I think 2 days after he signed his deal in Baltimore, he actually tore his, Achilles or messed up his entire leg or something like that. He went on IR in 2020 and didn't play any of 2021. This is the other part of it also. It's the idea that the average value of some of these high-paid tackles, whether you want to admit to them or not, Trent Williams is $23 million. Nobody's going to, dispute that one. David Bakhtiari, who also hasn't played in 2 years, $23 million also. Laramie Tunsil. I think if you look at Laramie Tunsil, you look at Taylor Lewan, very similar in their career paths. Some people just not sure on them in and out of the lineup. That's Laramie Tunsil. Laramie Tunsil is averaging $22 million. Ronnie Stanley, also another guy that hadn't played in 2 years, $19.75 million. That's the average of his deal. Ryan Ramczyk. Also, $19 million. Also, guarantees at signing for these guys, which it makes no sense for a guy like Taylor say that he will retire, because I'll be real with you. There is not many other jobs that pay in bulk the way the NFL does, unless you're Goldman Sachs, unless you're a Fortune 500 CEO to where you get a bonus, $50 million bonus. There's not many other. Ronnie Stanley hadn't played in 2 years. Guaranteed at signing, $64 million. Another guy, David Bakhtiari, again, $61 million. Tyler Moton, who is fourth on this list with the Carolina Panthers. Tell me who Tyler Moton is.
I know his name.
Now you do.
I mean, I've heard his name.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No Pro Bowls, no All-Pro, no anything. Taylor's got 3 of those, and with a winning team. Carolina doesn't have much. His guarantee as signer, $43 million. Taylor can say he want to. I agree with him. And I guarantee you this, too. I bet you the boys pod, it makes good money. It's his own entity right now. He can do the entertainment side of sports if he wants to. The thing about Taylor, he's an attraction. People wants to be around him.
Sure.
But there's no bulk pay like this for a guy who's relatively young. Ramczyk is an older guy. Also, another guy on this list who's older, Tyron Smith. Big time. There's ways for him. Another guy that base salary is what we can look at right now. Taylor's is, I think, around 12, and that was his biggest thing. Like, he says he's expendable, and he is. But Laramie Tunsil's base salary, $17.8 million. Again, if I'm looking at a comparison, I'm looking at Taylor and Laramie Tunsil. Both guys, questionable at times, but solid, very solid. He's getting a base of 17.8. Garrett Bowles, another guy who just started playing well, and you know that, Jay. They wanted him out of Denver.
Yes.
His base salary, $17 million. Taylor Moton, Carolina, right tackle. This is a right tackle I'm speaking of, $16 million base. Donovan Smith, who had an up-and-down year in Tampa Bay this year, left tackle, $15.7. Taylor Decker, Detroit, left tackle, $14. Another comparison. Taylor, if he chooses to play, and a team will pay him to play also, and will pay him to play in these ballpark figures, at least close to more than 12 is what I say. Taylor Decker's getting 14.7. Taylor, he's got a point that, the idea that he couldn't see himself in another uniform, other players have said that too. And
of course.
The fact that, I do think this, he wouldn't have to get, let's say 16, 17. I think a hometown discount for Taylor is still $15 million a year. I know some fans won't like that idea, because it's the idea that you want him out because, man, Taylor this. But there's a bunch of guys that you don't know in this league that gets broke off like this. And if Taylor decides as a left tackle to take his number down to 10 a year, it's going to be guys that come up behind him that are going to be so mad at him because he's pulling the market down. The same way we think about guys at the running back position. There's people who are excited. I guarantee you Saquon Barkley is excited at Derrick Henry's deal because that's going to be his comparable when it comes down to saying, what are the top 5 guys in my position are getting paid? And he can't afford to. The business of the game won't allow that to happen. And truth be told, Taylor's agent or the NFLPA, who's trying to protect guys' salary, won't go for that either.
So you're saying not just the discount side of it and how it resets the market to some extent, but also that his agent might be like, no, you got to go somewhere else.
You got to.
You have to leave even though you want to stay here. I understand that. And we had Joe Corey tell us on Friday, I work for the athlete.
Yeah.
What the athlete wants, I'm ultimately going to do. But probably also going to be like, you shouldn't do this.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't do this.
Not even just because of your own bank account, but because of how this is going to be perceived
by
amongst everybody else. That's the whole favored nations deal I've talked about before in its own way. That's the Scott Hall, Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
We get paid more every time somebody else is brought in and makes more. we have to match that salary. So, yeah, go get Bret Hart.
Yeah.
And go throw out all the money that you can because we're going to get more outside of
what
that.
What Saban does.
It's one economy.
Yeah. What does Saban does.
Yeah, every time somebody gets broke off more money for an extension, his money goes up.
Let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Taylor's 30, according to the spot track, he's 30 years old in 208 days. He'll be 31 maybe by the start of the season. He's got a lot of years left. Well, he's got solid 4 years left. And the team should be willing to probably do a 15 per year deal with him. Over 3 or over 4.
And if that's the case, then I might want to see him in a different uniform.
See what I'm saying? Again, Taylor's fine. He's made a lot of cash if that's it. But Taylor said all of that as far as being a Titan because he loves the game. He loves the sport of it. He loves being a bully on the field. Run left is a trademark of his because he loves the game. Will he retire? He'll shock the heck out of me.
Sure. Yeah, a lot of people said I'd never play anywhere else, but then it's like, you know what? I might look good in black. 615-737-1045. Mike DeCourcy, Sporting News. Next, JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone. Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Yes. Another good one from Shafe today.
Banger, man. Who is this guy behind the glass? I heard Pusha T about to start up and it just replays over. The best producer in the world. That's a guy. That's our guy.
Oh, man, that was something else. Ron Slade will be on the show tomorrow.
Johnson.
It's JMart and Ramon, lifted up all Four Seasons Garage Stores in Nashville, 11-year NFL veteran, ball for life. Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Jason Martin. Those are our names. At Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon. Guests appear via the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, including our friend Mike DeCourcy of The Sporting News. Mike, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Pretty good. So, we're going to talk college basketball. We'll talk some NFL as well. But let's just ask this question because it's Nashville and because Ron Slade wants the answer. What is the lesson so far? What is Penny Hardaway learning about the business of college basketball right now at Memphis?
Well, I don't know for certain that he's learning. I mean, I think that's the question. Is he learning? Because I think that he's handled his media obligations or his interaction, I should say his interaction with the media. I think he's handled them poorly on multiple occasions. And look, I don't care if he talks or not. I mean, I don't know many college basketball coaches are going to get by if they don't. But if you do, you don't call out your veteran players and props to my guy Seth Davis, a good friend who's had a big influence on my career, for getting the individual interview with Penny. But that was what he did. The things he said about his veteran players was a really poor tactic for him to do. And then his confrontation, verbal confrontation, I don't even know if confrontation is the right word, exchange, but harsh exchange with the media a couple of weeks ago after a loss. I didn't think that was handled particularly well either. I could, as a reporter, I would say that that's not probably a question about whether he can get it done that I would have asked in a press conference setting. I would have wanted to ask that question one-on-one. I don't know whether Penny does one-on-ones with the media there. I can't say because I haven't been down there. But I would suspect that I have covered the Tigers in the past, and I never had any trouble getting one-on-ones with the head coach. So I don't know. But I thought that for him to respond in the way that he did with multiple profanities of the most extraordinary kind, I thought that was a mistake. And I don't think that's making the Tigers any better. I think that there's a lot he has to learn about how to run a program, not coach. I don't think he's a poor coach, but I don't think he's running the program well. X's and O's are just the very beginning of it. And one of the mistakes that were made when he was hired was that he needed someone to help him understand what it is to run a Division I program. He hadn't worked in Division I basketball prior to this. And so I think that if you look at Fred Hoiberg when he went to Iowa State and he hired Bobby Lutz, the old Charlotte coach, Bobby helped him a lot. And Phil Martelli has helped Juwan Howard understand the daily ins and outs of running the Michigan program. And Juwan was Sporting News National Coach of the Year last year, and deservedly so. So I think Penny missed on that, and I think the people who hired him missed on making sure that he had someone in that who had been in that role.
At the moment that he got that job, at the time, did you think that was a good hire, Mike? I mean, it made sense from the Memphis standpoint in the community, and that dude's a rock star, a celebrity in that community, to say the least, and recruiting was going to make sense and all that. But were you kind of hesitant? You wanted to see what it looked like at first, or did you think it was the right decision at the time?
I was hesitant because I understand how complicated it is to run a Division I program. And we've seen tons of NBA coaches come into college basketball and struggle, not because they don't understand the basketball element. They all do. The NBA is the highest level of basketball in the world. But the college part of it is a challenge. Mm-hmm. From a recruiting standpoint, from understanding what the obligations are of the players that are on your roster. It's a complicated deal, and we saw Bob Hill, who had been very successful with the Spurs, go to Fordham and completely wipe out, and Mike Dunleavy at Tulane. was a failure there. And you see now Ron Hunter is showing that you can be competitive there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really about the college part and not about the basketball part. And when Penny was hired, I wondered if they would cover that part. If he had worked for 3 or 4 years as a Division I assistant or something like that before he became this head coach, I think his experience would be much different.
So one thing that we're seeing or that I've noticed is 2 sets of parents that are going to be on top of you when it comes down to their kids. And that's basketball and that's baseball. Amani Bates' dad is, usually tweets out some stuff or puts some stuff on his social media that you really got to question, say, is he actually going to be there next year? Now, I'm not sure if he's, pro ready because, he's been out a good bit, but do you see him being at Memphis if he does decide to come back, if Penny is there?
Well, he doesn't have a choice to enter the NBA draft, Ramon, after this year because he won't be the age necessary.
Right.
So he'll have to do something. Now, he could just work out if he wants, but I don't think that would be exciting to NBA teams after what they've seen from him in a competitive environment. I think he needs to play, and it's just a question of where he plays. Does he play with the overtime elite maybe? Does he do the G League Ignite deal? Does he come back to Memphis or another school? He's going to have to be somewhere. And I don't know what the right answer for him is. I know that he wasn't ready to play high major basketball. Wow. That's obvious. And I don't think that he's gone in the right direction. I saw him after he had won the state championship in Michigan, I think after his freshman year at the Peach Jam. And I saw a very capable, gifted player, but not an overwhelming talent. Someone that I thought was going to be had a chance to be very special, but the comparisons to Kevin Durant I thought were over the top at that point. I haven't seen much development in him since, and that's a disappointment. And I don't think he has followed great courses or has been directed to great courses through the past 3 years or so.
So from the 901 to the 865, there's another kid from Memphis, Kennedy Chandler, and just in general with this Tennessee basketball team, we watched Rick Barnes really, really dig into Kennedy Chandler as far as, his on the court play and whatnot. What have you seen from him? Still a top 5, top 10 pick with what he's done at Tennessee so far? Because I've seen some people say they expected more out of him. And, of course, hearing Ron speak about him is kind of like, no, he's doing everything he's supposed to be for the type of guy that he is.
Yeah, I really like what I've seen from Kennedy. I think that he's a terrific point guard. Probably in the ideal world, probably would become, if he returned next year, would become a great college star, and that might help him ultimately. You look back 15 years ago at the player he probably is compared to most often, Chris Paul. I'm not sure whether he's that level or not. I mean, Chris is one of the 2 or 3 greatest point guards in the history of the game, so I'm not sure that that's necessarily Kennedy's horizon or not. But Chris was able to come back a second year, and the leap from his freshman year when he was really good to his sophomore year when he was a superstar was extraordinary. I think Kennedy would benefit from that. I understand that's probably not what's going to happen. But in the time he has left, the 5 to 6 to 8 weeks that he has left, depending on how far the Vols go, I think there still are areas that he can improve. I think he can become a shade more insistent on offense. He's a great defensive point guard for a freshman. I don't think you can continue to improve there, but I think he can. And some of it may be how Tennessee wants to run its sets and that sort of thing, but I think he can be more aggressive as an offensive player, and I do believe the Vols would benefit from that.
Yeah.
SEC as a whole, Mike, how do you assess the conference right now? I mean, we know what Auburn is. Kentucky's been playing really solid basketball. Tennessee got the win. Saw LSU lose over the weekend as well. So when you look at the conference as a whole right now, what are you thinking?
I think it's an odd year because they have basically settled into 2 tiers, but the one tier, the bottom tier, is still dangerous. It's not, and in some ways that it's damaging or potentially damaging to the league. I mean, it could have really hurt Auburn to lose to Georgia on Saturday. Georgia put up just enough of a fight to make it interesting and raise a lot of eyebrows. They didn't win the game. That was probably great for the league, but But I think that's kind of where you are with the league now. You have Vandy stepping forward and taking out LSU. The bottom teams in the league are still very dangerous. The top teams in the league, I think, are exceptional. Auburn, Kentucky. I think Tennessee has some great strength, especially at the defensive end of the floor. But you see teams like Texas A&M that I watched play Kentucky. I really liked what I saw. I watched them play Arkansas. I really liked what I saw. They lost both of those games, and they've barely scratched since. And they're probably on their way out of making the NCAA tournament. So it remains a very difficult league in which to play, but those teams at the bottom of the league can't seem to get enough momentum to sort of swing toward contending for the tournament.
So Chet Holmgren, it's so unique to watch what he brings for Gonzaga. Compare him to somebody if you can. I've heard some crazy names, some crazy comparisons, but it's undeniable that he is must-see television.
What are some of the crazy names you've heard? I'm curious.
Durant is one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no similarity to Durant at all. Durant is a guard who is 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
Chet Holmgren is not a guard. The one that makes sense to me in a lot of ways, and there's one element of difference between the two more than anything, and that's Kevin Garnett. Garnett was about the same size, give or take an inch, very long and skinny, not quite as thin as Holmgren is. What Kevin had was the highest level of intensity I've ever seen in a basketball player. Had it the first time I saw him at the Nike All-American camp in '93. I'd never seen anybody that ran that hot on the floor, and not in terms of like being combative. I mean, it all was channeled into the game. I'd never seen anything quite like it, and I think it served him well through his brilliant NBA career. Chet doesn't have that, but he does have that size, that skill, that ability to play away from the goal as well as near it. It's the closest I could say. I don't know whether he has Kevin Garnett's career or not, but what I've really liked about Chet is about a month ago or 6 weeks ago, I said what Chet has to do is go from being a curiosity to being a player. Because for the first 5 weeks or so of the season, he would do 2 or 3 things in a game that you would just be like floored. The way he'd handle the ball up the court, or a move he'd make, or a block, and you'd be like, wow, that's something. But he'd only do it those 2 or 3 times. And now he's doing that for 30 minutes and just blowing people away. It's really something to see, and it's going to be difficult to beat them, and somebody's going to have to find a way to shut both him and Drew Timme down at the same time.
Looking at Chet and just like you said, admiring him, wondering where did he come from? How does he do this? This guy's he's legit 7 foot, if not, half inch taller. He's thin as a rail. And my question to you is, who got to this kid to say, look, put the ball in your hand, move down the court, develop your skill? Because, I know kids that big go to the post. Where did this switch, if you have history on his story, for the people that don't know about Chet Holmgren?
I don't know exactly why he developed in the way that he did, but I admire the people who didn't pigeonhole him and allowed him to develop into a full complementary basketball player. That's it. And I think that one of the other things about him that is special is that no one said, "Oh, you're just too skinny." They looked beyond that. I mean, because he's really as thin a top player as we've had. He actually makes Kevin Garnett look like Mr. America.
So at the combine, how many reps at bench will he actually get? 2?
I think he'll look at the bar and say, "Nah."
I'm a hooper. That's what he's going to tell them.
Exactly.
Mike, 2 teams that I just have a hard time believing in right now. UCLA just had a bad week in Arizona. They lost to Arizona. They lost to Arizona State in a game that went triple overtime. I was just begging to end on Saturday night because I didn't think it was a great game. Drama is one thing, but it wasn't great from wall to wall. And the other team is Purdue. It's just because I get used to Matt Painter's team not doing very much when we get to March. Am I wrong? Is this a different Purdue team? I mean, I've watched them a couple of times this year. They got a lot of talent, but I'm just very hesitant on those 2 teams.
I don't understand how he's gotten that rep. I mean, he did beat the Vols, maybe the best Vols team in the history of Tennessee basketball in the 2019 Sweet 16, and was literally one free throw away from reaching the Final Four. I'm not sure where that rep has come from. They've had their years where, like 2016, where they got beat in the first round. They've had that happen, but I think most of the coaches have. I understand your hesitance, but your hesitance should be based on one thing: they're not very good defensively.
Okay,
and that's not on Matt. I mean, it is to an extent because he's got to find a way, but he's been a tremendous defensive coach there, and he just can't get these guys to defend effectively. I think they were, last time I looked, this was 3-4 days ago or so, they were 90th in defensive efficiency. You can make the Final Four at 90. You have to be pretty fortunate. You're not winning the national championship at 90. It's never happened. It's never even come close to happening. But if you're 90 today, you've got a month to fix it. And in 2015, give or take 10 spots maybe, Duke was around this level in 2015, made a few adjustments to their lineup, started playing Justice Winslow, played smaller, started playing him as a 4, and then all of a sudden they became a terrific defensive team and were able to win the national championship in maybe the deepest Final Four we've ever seen.
So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Demetrius Ja Morant, a.k.a. Ja.
Yeah.
Like, he's to the point now where you see him on TV at away games, and the kids who get to sit courtside, or, you know, real close to the court, you see them getting excited for him on the court, man. What can he do for this game? How much will he make us forget Zion Williamson? And where is his career also, with the effects that he's as explosive as Derrick Rose, but not as impactful hitting the ground?
You know, I hope that he doesn't make us forget Zion. I'd like to see Zion back out there. The injury problems he's had, it's been a shame. It reminds me, at least at this point, a little bit of Greg Oden. I hope he doesn't end the way Greg did.
Yeah.
Greg was a phenomenal player. So we'll see what happens with him. But Ja is just extraordinary. And yeah, I see now that there's a kid at Purdue named Jaden Ivey that I hear a lot of people compare Ja to, and I'm not on that train at all, because Jaden, I compare Jaden to Russell Westbrook. That just ridiculous dynamism and the effort to try to control it and to channel it toward basketball excellence. I think that's the path that Jaden's on. John knows he's a point guard. He knows all the things he can do as a point guard. He knows exactly how to run an offense, how to be the offense. He knew it at Murray, and he knows it now. It's been just extraordinary to see the development that he's had. The one similarity is that Ja was not highly recruited or highly rated, as we know, and neither was Jaden Ivey. That's the one similarity. But I think Ja, with the physical power he has to go with the dynamism and the fact that he is a complete point guard, I think it's unlike anything we've seen.
Wow.
Mike, are you out of Cincy?
I lived in Cincinnati for 18 years. I now live in Indianapolis.
Okay.
I've heard Ramon's rants about Steelers fans jumping on the Bengals bandwagon, and I can tell you, as someone who lived there for 18 years and has lots of friends who are Bengals fans and has the slightest bit of happiness for them, it just floored me when Pac-Man Jones said that the Steeler fans shouldn't get on to the Bengals bandwagon. I'm like, don't threaten me with a good time. like I don't need to be told that.
Who even brought that up? I'm like, Pac, you just doing a drive-by. Nobody even wanted to jump on that train. We're happy for you. Good job, man.
No, that believe me, that could never happen. When I lived in Cincinnati for those 18 years, there were 2 weeks that were really rough. And that was the weeks that they would play the Bengals, and of course, a couple times they met in the playoffs. Those weeks were really rough, but usually the aftermath was really nice because way more often than not, the Steelers won the game, so that worked out well.
Yeah. So I read your piece on Ben Roethlisberger, and it's interesting because Ben comes back. Drew Brees gets kind of the send-off last year. Ben comes back, and now Tom Brady retires like right afterwards. And so everybody's talking about Tom Brady. You've written about Tom as well. And I'm sitting here thinking about the AFC North and thinking, what are you going to be writing about Joe Burrow in 10 years because of the story that he is potentially about to tell 6 days from now? But do you feel like, as a Steelers guy, somebody that loves that team, Roethlisberger, do you feel like because the last stanza was so unimpressive that we kind of forget just how great he was for such a long period of time?
I don't. I'll tell you. I know it didn't look like much, but I think you have to understand how impressive it really was. For that team to make the playoffs, look at them statistically on offense and defense, but down near the bottom of the league in both offense and defense. Those are other than special teams, that's all you got. And they still went 9-7-1, and the one was with the tie with the Lions was when he was out with COVID. Mm-hmm. So it really was impressive. It just wasn't beautiful. And of course, I think that actually fits Ben more than anything because he was never a beautiful player. He was a jaw-dropping player at his best, but he was never a beautiful player. He didn't look like John Elway out there. He sort of forced his way through. He was a rugged player. So I think in a lot of ways, somehow managing to get this team into the playoffs with the struggles that they had on the offensive and defensive line was among the impressive achievements of his career.
Can we see two Super Bowl winning quarterbacks go in the Hall of Fame at the same time? Because that's always the conversation.
I just don't see how you can hold either one of them out.
Okay.
And obviously, they're not going to hold out Brady. I don't think it would be silly to not put them both in. It'll change the dynamic of Canton that day because the other players on the dais may be completely forgotten because you'll have the Patriots fans with Brady, and then of course what it looks like in Canton on a day when a Steeler is inducted.
Right.
My wife has said we're going to that day, so we'll see what it looks like firsthand from what I've been able to gather.
Wow.
Are you ready for the Jimmy Garoppolo era in Pittsburgh?
I thought for a while. I thought that might be the direction they go, but they're talking about wanting a second and a third for him. If they wanted to get him off their books and exchange him in the way that sometimes they do with the fifth or a sixth, I might consider that as a stopgap kind of deal. But I wouldn't give them high draft picks for him. It's not worth it. I'd rather see them sign Jameis Winston as a free agent. The money, whatever they want to pay him, it doesn't really matter that much because it's a short-term deal and they're taking Ben's big contract off the books for the most part. So it's not really about the money. It's about just filling in until they can get their next quarterback. Oh. And we'll see what whether they decide there's one in this year's draft or next year's draft or whatever.
Hey man, Ryan Tannehill maybe be a good Steeler.
You can keep Ryan. He's doing a nice job for you.
Listen at that answer.
Nice bless your heart answer, Mike. Thank you, Mike. You're the best, brother. Thanks so much for the time.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Bless his heart.
Man.
One of the most impressive thing he said in that was watching Durant in 93. I'm like, was he really that? Is he old like that? High school.
He's an old head.
He is an old head.
615-737-1045. More next. Maybe some birthdays. JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone. It's JMart. If you're noticing things around the house that just don't feel right, that's probably because they're not right. You got cracks in your bricks. Looks like your concrete might actually be sinking. Your basement walls bowing, doors and windows sticking, chimneys leaning, drywall separating. All these signs of a possible foundation issue with your home. So I want you to call United Structural Systems. USS has been serving Middle Tennessee for over 25 years. I've been telling you about them since literally day one of JMart and Ramon because I believe in them. This community does. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau means the Triple B also believes in them. They're locally owned. They're not a franchise, which means they're going to customize a solution for you depending on your needs as a homeowner. They give you a detail-free estimate before you ever have to make any kind of decision. They're going to tell you what's going on. They're going to tell you what it's going to cost, but you don't pay until they're done. So you know the job's been done well before you ever have to pay a cent. Over 20,000 satisfied customers and counting can tell you that phone call is a smart one to make to United Structural Systems. Here's the telephone number, easy to remember, 615-227-2275. That's 2275 or online at ussTN.com, United Structural Systems. JMart and Ramon 104.5 The Zone. Our thanks to Mike DeCourcy, always good. Kept him long because he was good. That's how that works. James Spader, 62, Moan.
James Spader. Golly, where do I know this from?
Not card games, Moan.
No, card game. No, I'm thinking of David Spade. Never mind. Spader. Battle of the Sexes. Beverly Hills Cop.
Show called The Blacklist. You'd know him from that. Know him from a lot of movies. You'd also know him as Robert California on The Office.
That's where I know that name. Robert California. He
should have got that one right, Ramon.
I should have.
Because it was The Office.
Yep. But I've gone away from that old reliable answer.
Just a lot of big names that you're not going to get wrong, Moan. Ashton Kutcher is 44.
Punked. There we go. Butterfly Effect.
Not the movie I would have expected, but you're right.
I actually like that movie a lot.
Chris Rock, 57.
Hey.
Yeah, he's 57.
He's 57?
Exactly. Yeah.
Hogs.
We talked about Garth
New
Brooks
Jack
earlier.
City.
He's 60 today.
Happy to my humble Hendersonville night.
Robert Smigel, 62, Mo.
Robert Smeagol from Lord of the Rings.
His real name doesn't become.
I like that answer.
It was very quick that you were able to pull that out.
The Precious.
Phrasing.
Hoop Fest.
Robert Smigel, Saturday Night Live writer.
Triumph.
The Insult Comic Dog.
For me to poop on.
What?
Yeah, that's what the hand puppet that he did. Triumph the Insult.
Oh, okay.
Comic
You don't
Dog.
know who Triumph the Insult Comic Dog is?
No, I do not.
Really?
Sorry. Don't know.
Wow. I don't know why I'm surprised.
Yeah, I don't know why you're surprised either.
Just you'll have no chance.
Who?
But Deborah Ann Wool is 37.
Is she in Boomerang?
She was not.
Oh, I thought she was about to you got that right. Deborah Ann Wool.
Why would I do that? Woll.
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 Joker?
No, but that's not terrible. She was kind of the love interest in Daredevil.
I never
Netflix.
watched. I never watched that.
But you know what it is.
You should.
No, I don't. I don't know
First
what it
season's
is.
excellent.
I don't know.
Really good.
You could almost
She was also in True Blood.
True Blood.
Nah, I didn't watch that either.
I didn't watch it.
There's a lot of vampire sex in that one.
Tons of vampire sex. All the vampire sex.
All of it. All the Anna Paquin you can have.
I think the kids are at school.
Oh, that's true.
My name's Bill Compton.
That's a factual statement, Ramon.
I know.
Fourth hour of the show is coming up next. That's also a factual statement, for better or worse. Ben Arthur, Titans beat writer at Tennessean, who had the conversation with Jon Robinson. Yeah. We'll talk about everything, including Aaron Rodgers, because let's just upset the franchise today by talking about something they absolutely don't want talked about. Your flagship for Titans Radio is 104.5 The Zone now.
Taking Anna licked my backside.
Ben Arthur.
The moment we've been waiting for since September is finally here. In honor of the big game, we know which game that is. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56, is giving new customers 56-1 odds on either team. You bet $5 or more and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. If you're not a new customer, no problem. Bet on Super Bowl 56 props instead. DraftKings Sportsbook offers a wide range of props throughout the big game. Take your shot at winning cash by predicting props like if a non-quarterback throws a pass, fourth down conversions, total yards, and so much more. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code WGFX and get 56-1 odds on either team. You bet $5 or more and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. But use the promo code WGFX at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56, and you must be 21 years or older and present in Tennessee to bet. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. To the Pro Bowl from yesterday, the AFC defeated the NFC 41-35. 3 Titans players participated: Kevin Byard, Harold Landry, and Roger Saffold. Byard had an interception. Landry had 5 total tackles. The AFC was led on the bench by Mike Vrabel and his staff. Justin Herbert and Max Crosby were the offensive and defensive MVPs, respectively. Saints running back in VFL Alvin Kamara arrested on a battery charge on Sunday in Las Vegas after being accused of injuring someone at a nightclub on Saturday night. He was taken into custody following playing in the Pro Bowl. Miami Dolphins have agreed to a deal with San Francisco 49ers offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel to be their next head coach. And the Houston Texans in advanced talks with associate head coach and defensive coordinator Lovie Smith about potentially becoming their next head coach. Lady Vols fell to UConn yesterday, 75-56. Joey Logano won the Clash at the Coliseum. Tom Hoagie won the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, his first PGA Tour title. And starting Wednesday, the Buck Rising Show in 3HL live from Radio Row in Los Angeles. That's all courtesy of Ferguson HVAC, Two Rivers Ford, and a Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Fourth hour, hashtag fastest 4 hours in radio is upon you, upon us. Blessed to bring it to you courtesy of All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. All4seasonsgarages.com. So we want you to go to learn more. 11-year NFL veteran involved for life. Ramon Foster is part of that. We. So is Jonathan Schaefer. I'm Jason Martin. At Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon.
Yeah.
Ben Arthur of the Tennessean, next segment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why that got me.
It's been a while.
It has been a little while.
Mm-hmm.
That dog is it's like a throwback. On this program.
Ready for the off season, baby.
Pro Bowl was yesterday. That was a football game that was played.
Everything's all right.
What's AB doing, Moan?
AB got a lot going on. I don't know when he sleeps. He's always up with his cameras, going. He's been hanging out with Floyd, with Kanye, with the game. He's been with a lot of people. He went back to Florida like last week sometime, but AB's living life, man.
Everything's all right?
Everything's all right.
Everything's all right.
I think he was in Vegas with Floyd this past weekend.
Well, there you go.
Music star now. Sports and music, man, always blending, whether good or bad.
You see what Brian Harsin said?
No.
He said he's going nowhere. There's no plan B.
It's going to be a standoff.
Here's the quote. I'm the Auburn coach. That's how I'm operating every day. I want this thing to work. I've told our players, told everybody else, there's no plan B. I'm not planning on going anywhere. This was and is the job. That's why I left the one I was in, to come here and make this place a championship program and leave it better than I found it.
This really pisses me off.
Is he going to break Auburn's, what do you want to call them? Their board of money people, basically?
The boosters?
Yeah. Those are the ones I hear, because I think Buck had the guy on last week who broke this story and say, Auburn's not a big place. There's not a lot going on, and there's a whole lot of meddling from, the people in Auburn who have a lot of money. And they didn't like him to begin with, but to try to use, his extramarital stuff against him is something that they can't prove. And true enough, his wife doubled down on it like, yeah, whatever.
See what Smoke Monday said about Harsin? Now, there were guys that were defending Harsin.
Yeah.
But Smoke Monday's the only one I care about because his name is Smoke Monday.
What Smoke say?
He said, since Brian Harsin got hired, he never had one conversation with my mom or dad. He probably don't even know their name. As a coach, how can you explain that?
Now we're getting into the emotions of it.
Well, I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's all emotion. You've got Chandler Wooten, who's team captain going to the pros, and Derek Hall, who was the sack leader and the tackle leader last year. Both of them defended Harsin Friday. Wooten said, we didn't need a best friend. We needed a coach, and that's what we had. Yeah. Basically, he's like, he's not there to be your
partner.
Yeah.
That's what the guy, and I'm sorry for not remembering his name, but Buck had him on last week, and that's what he said. It was like, it was a bunch of stuff that went on before Harsin got in, and most new coaches do this. I'm sure Vrabel was hard to deal with in his first year. It's my culture, and you're going to coach the way, you're going to be coached and play the way I want you to.
Your ex-coach did that his first year with Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Just took those guys and just grinded them into the ground that first training camp.
This is my way. The old way is out. I'm guessing the old way before Harsin got in, or they were buddy-buddy. It was a bunch of like, hey, kumbaya. Everything's going to be all right. And that was actually good.
That was really good because you got this cold. You got this little sniffle thing, so you kind of sound more like AB.
Hey, do that again, Ramon.
Everything's all right.
Everything's all right.
That's not bad.
First one was good. That one was more like Matthew McConaughey in A Time to Kill.
All right.
Hey, I love that.
Yes, they deserve to die.
And I hope they burn in hell. But that's what happens when you get new coaches, though. Like, you're going to get broke off. And that's what happens. And those guys, I'm sure, had their way in Auburn. Because why? It's the same thing as Knoxville. There's not a whole lot in Knoxville. Not a whole lot going on in Auburn. I couldn't name you one thing that they do in Auburn except for roll that tree.
Oh, that tree. I thought you meant weed. When you said roll that tree, I thought that was – I know what you're talking about now.
Bang, bang, bang.
Like with toilet paper. I thought you were talking about the sin spinach.
What? The devil lettuce.
It's becoming my favorite.
Devil lettuce.
No, that drop's getting me every time.
Thank
it's
you,
so
Buck.
sinister.
You not roll that tree, roll the tree. Either way, I'm not.
It does work though, doesn't it? You can't fault me for thinking maybe that's what you were talking about.
No, but what I'm saying is
you do have to be high to like Auburn.
You do. Bab's gonna fight us because of that. That's why you said it, huh?
Oh, yesterday we had pictures taken with CG, and we were wearing the shoes she was wearing, and some of the shots were ones Babs gave us.
Nice. Shout out to Babsy, man. But Harsin is there. He's got a track record that proves he is a viable coach for the job, and if they can't prove us, just give cause to fire him. I'm glad he did double down on him. I mean, there was a slander campaign last week with those allegations.
To say the least.
Slander's one word for it. Yeah. Complete defamation of character.
Now listen to Auntie Auntie Aaron in the chat. Roll your own. If you got them, smoke them. Come on, Auntie. What are you doing? I can't believe you said that either, Jay, but we're here now.
Well, the way it sounded, it's just like, man, must be a lot of dispensaries going on down at Auburn.
That vote is up soon in Tennessee.
Why do you think Buck came here to work here?
Oh, my God.
It's going to be fun. We can clown people later in the week because nobody's going to be around.
No.
Yeah, we're literally just.
Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah. Mickey and Blaine will be around, and us. Everybody else is going to L.A.
Going to L.A., which is why they're going to L.A. Oh, nice.
Okay, well, it'll be good coverage.
It'll be fun. It should be an experience for sure, the group going to L.A. But, to Harsin, good on him for doubling down. I would tell y'all.
Until they prove something, I would too.
Like, I'm going to win, and then you're going to pay me more.
By the way, my buyout's $18.2 million.
Run it back. Exactly. And they don't have a real cause for that. So
I think it's really interesting that he's still there because the way it sounded Friday, it was a done deal and all this. And the fact that it's not makes me wonder about the report, the viability of some of it, or certainly a paper trail.
Had that girl that, they paired him with. She scrubbed her social media. There were pictures of her in the Boise, uniforms. She was a cheerleader there.
If the accusations are not true, I feel terrible for that kid.
You know what?
I feel bad for her and him.
That's what I'm saying.
She's got both of them.
Both of them. But yeah, I mean.
But, of course, she just got drugged through the mud, and, of course, scumbags.
Mm-hmm. She's got a defamation suit.
Let's be real. She's an attractive female, and what I saw and what you kind of showed – Friday that was being said, like, nobody needs to be dealing with that.
No, whatsoever.
Even if it's true, nobody needs to be dealing with that.
Because this is the thing about those situations. The people that are with the strongest accusations got a lot of dirt underneath them.
Of course.
got
Absolutely.
a lot. As much as they accuse him, they probably got 3 or 4 on the side. Like, dude, be cool.
So, totally different subject.
Yeah.
I discovered cocoa melon this weekend.
I thought you was going to say, I'm in love with the cocoa. Okay, but go ahead. What's cocoa melon?
It's kids' television.
Oh, that sounds like a cereal.
I had no idea what you were talking about.
Fruit snack.
Cocoa melon. I'm like, what is this? Like?
Cocoa melon is just a bunch of earworms.
Huh?
A bunch of songs that are earworms. But it's not Caillou.
Nothing is.
Cocoa melon. Nothing is.
I was sitting there singing kid songs, just making coffee by myself. I was sitting over here. A low-toe oat, a low-toe oat, a low-toe oat, opals and bononos.
Yeah.
That's what's happened. Claire Grace is too young to even understand it. I'm sitting here watching Cocoa Melon.
Really?
Caillou is a whiny little puke.
I think he's going to say something different every time.
Well, it's because there are many videos in which they do say other things.
Oh, and I could change that completely if I just put a beep at the end instead of puke, and then it's left to the imagination.
Now, hashtag roller tree is hitting my timeline.
Need that jersey.
Doesn't it make sense? Yeah. I didn't realize what I was doing in the moment. I thought I was just...
Now, hashtag roller tree.
When we eventually, that's not going to get me.
No, it's always going to be funny.
Ben Arthur, Titans beat writer for the Tennessean. We'll talk two-tone blue, including the quarterback situation. When we come back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Baker Burwell is the disability brokerage financial professionals can count on to deliver disability insurance education, products, and services. What is your most valuable asset? Your home? Think again. It is your income. And it may sound crazy, but let me explain. Let's say you make $150,000 a year and you're 35 years old. Even if you never get a pay raise, you'll make $4.5 million in your working lifetime. And I'm guessing your house is a little bit less than $4.5 million. As a former pro athlete, it wasn't a thought about ensuring my income or my career. I told you guys, I just went with it. And I'm sure the same applies with you too. But have you considered what would happen if you couldn't continue your career due to health or injury? For 2 or 3% of your income, you can insure it up to 60% tax-free. Don't let your next paycheck be your last paycheck. And what we've learned over these past few years is bad things happen to good people. But Baker Burwell is the best resource for financial advisors and insurance agents when providing solutions in income protection. They are a trusted friend working with your trusted advisor to make sure that you are properly insured. They are local and simply want to see their community be protected and win. So give them a call at 615-309-5958 or visit the website at bakerburwell.com.
Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 His Own. Schaefer just playing hits today. If he doesn't tweet out the playlist today, he should be flogged.
The best producer in the world. Yes.
Problem is when you hit it for yourself.
Ha!
I know, Moan. I looked dead at you as I was saying it.
There's young Anthony Hamilton in this right here.
That's right.
Look at that, man.
Could also rename him Hamilton Anthony because it's 2 first names. It's also 2 last names.
Also,
it's the random where it's both.
Also.
What are we doing? 11-year NFL veteran involved for life, Ramon Foster and Jonathan Schaefer and Jason Martin. We're at J. Martin Ramon. Guest appear on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, including Ben Arthur of Tennessean. Ben, good morning.
Good morning, fellas. How you doing?
Doing pretty well. So when does Aaron Rodgers arrive, and when does he start playing for the Titans?
Yeah, don't ask J-Rob about that. I can tell you that they're pretty firm on their stance that Ryan Tannehill is their guy, and look, even from a salary cap perspective, even if they did want him, I mean, whenever you can get, a transcendent superstar caliber quarterback, you explore it, right? I guess you do your due diligence, but with the Titans, I mean, it just doesn't make sense from a cap perspective either. They're over the cap right now. They obviously have Tannehill's $29 million fully guaranteed deal for in base salary for this coming season to trade or to cut him or whatever. I mean, that's you're losing a ton of cap space when you're already in the red. Really, like if you did want to move on from Ryan Tannehill, you have to look at next off season, not this off season. So he's going to be here in Nashville for 2022, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. I guess at least from the fan perspective, just based on all the interceptions and whatnot. But yeah, as J-Rob told me, Ryan Tannehill is their guy, and he said that a few times now, but he's continued to say it. So that's kind of what the deal is.
Are they irritated with the narrative, do you think? Do you think Jon Robinson and the team are a little frustrated, not even necessarily with some of the critique of Ryan Tannehill, because that's going to come when your quarterback throws 3 interceptions and is a large reason why you're not going to L.A. to play this weekend, for example. But just the narrative of the Rodgers story maybe specifically, but just this storyline right here, do you think that they're irked by this because they do believe in Ryan Tannehill for this season, and they also know contractually and with the money and everything, they're really kind of between a rock and a hard place?
Yeah, I think, with frustration, it's I do think there is maybe some sense of that. I think they also do understand the standard that they've created, right? That what Jon Robinson and Mike Vrabel have done the last several years. We all know where this franchise used to be, and we know where they're at right now, and having consistently winning records and being able to get into the playoffs and coming up short in the playoffs. The last several years, they understand that the standard has been raised, and people here are talking about, okay, what's the next step to the Super Bowl? What's the next step to getting a championship? So they do understand it from that perspective, but I think there's also a sense of they kind of want that trust as well, right? Like they've 2 consecutive AFC South titles. They're in the AFC Championship game not too long ago. You take away, a few of those plays in that Bengals game, but particularly those Tannehill interceptions. I mean, there's a good chance they'll be they would have been in the AFC Championship game, or potentially even the Super Bowl. And so I think there is a sense of, kind of let us do our job, let us continue to build this thing, because over the last several years we've shown that we are headed in the right direction, and they know that the offense, they do know that there needs to be work done on the offense. They just don't maybe see it the way the general public sees it, like the way Titans fans see it. We know that they're bringing in Tim Kelly on the offensive side of the ball to help out Todd Downing and that staff. And so I'm sure in their eyes, maybe that could be sort of an offensive Jim Schwartz situation. We know what Jim Schwartz was kind of able to do as somewhat of a sounding board for Shane Bowen and helping to turn that defense around. So yeah, I think there is a sense that they do want people to trust them. They do understand the territory they're in and kind of the standard and expectations in place. But they also want people to know that they're kind of doing everything they can to try to bolster this team. And you just look at this past season, winning 12 games, getting that first round bye for the first time in a while, and how the defense completely transformed with a few free agent signings like Danico Autry most notably, but him helping to bring the best out of kind of that group, and Bud Dupree when he was out there, just from a pressure standpoint, getting to the quarterback. So yeah, I do think there's a sense of I don't know if frustration is the right word, but they do kind of want trust, I would say, is maybe the correct word to use, and just kind of how they're trying to build this thing and continue to build off of what they've done the last few years.
Ben, I don't know how you did it, but you did, as far as reading the article or your interview with Jon Robinson, because you got him to unlock whatever he was holding in. I don't know if it was the wrong cup of coffee he had or just the amount of frustration had mounted in the time that you were talking to him. But it was a bunch of things that he did. Like you said, you could hear his emotion in reading the words that you put to paper. And it was just basically him getting on the table and saying a whole lot of things. Reiner's our quarterback. Fans need to be quiet because I'm not firing anybody. And this is the most notable thing, I think, of it, aside from the Ryan Tannehill, was the fact that he kind of alluded to, look, and before I got here, there was nothing going on. And now we have a system. We have a culture. Did you get that in his tone and talking to him, the frustration about that?
Absolutely, yeah. There's definitely a sense of that. And look, he loves, Jon Robinson loves the fans, the Titans, those the top decision makers for this team. I mean, they definitely love all the support, and we know the fan base has kind of been a topic of discussion based on what Logan Ryan was saying, at the end of the regular season and whatnot. The Titans know, Jon Robinson knows that they're appreciative of kind of all the support. But again, as I was kind of saying, that there is a sense of that they do feel like they're on the right track. They have won a lot of games. The playoff success hasn't necessarily come yet, but they do feel like they're on the right track. And I definitely got that sense talking, to Jon Robinson. I mean, he's very aware of kind of the what everyone is saying, kind of the dialogue and the things people are writing, and kind of the fan reaction to some of the bad losses they've had. He's very cognizant of kind of what's going on. But so yeah, it's a little bit of both, right? It's kind of maybe a little bit of again, I don't know if frustration is the right word, but just kind of a sense of, we got this. We're kind of working at this. We're our resume is kind of speaking to what we've done since 2016, and I got that feeling repeatedly throughout our conversation. I wasn't able to include everything we talked about just for space purposes and for editing purposes, but that was absolutely a theme from our conversation.
And well, you say that as far as, him saying we know what we're doing. But one thing that you wrote about in this article was the idea of the first rounders, missing draft picks or injuries. Where was he in his tone of speaking with him about, all the guys they've drafted who's either gone to IR or had injuries coming out of college?
Yeah, so, I had asked him about, these last two draft classes in particular, right? It seems like they've missed, like we know the Isaiah Wilson situation. Darrington Evans has barely played, tons of injuries, and then Caleb Farley this past season tore his ACL and he barely played. And in terms of, I asked him about that, and then he kind of spoke specifically about kind of this past year's class and saying just in terms of injuries, at least he felt like that was more of an outlier, just because of kind of the severity of the injuries. If in the piece he talked about how, like, if a guy's coming out of college and he's had like strains and like hamstring issues and just kind of repeated nagging problems, that's maybe more of a risk. But other injuries like breaking your leg, like what Rashad Weaver had, tearing your ACL, like what Caleb Farley had, and Monty Rice, who was healthy most of his career at Georgia, having the ankle injury he had, those kinds of injuries are less predictable because we all know that football is a violent game. And so he did make sure he kind of got that point across. And then just he talked a lot about kind of what he expects of kind of the rookies from this year's class and what he expects from them in year two, talking about Caleb Farley. This wasn't in the story, but saying how he's really counting on Caleb to kind of attack his rehab and come back in 2022 ready to make a big impact. And he could, Caleb could potentially be a starter. And then Dylan Radins too, a guy we saw promise from in that San Francisco game, but overall had his inconsistencies, kind of his ups and downs. He's another guy they have high expectations for. We know that there could potentially be some changes up front on that offensive line. And so Dylan Radins, as their second round offensive lineman last season, he's going to be expected to take on an even bigger role. Rashad Weaver, I'm sure they have high expectations for. He showed some promise in the preseason. And so all these things, Jon Robinson, he kind of wanted to get across, and it's going to be critical, right, for these guys, for these rising second year guys to really have an impact, and even some of the rising third year guys like Christian Fulton. How is Darrington Evans going to come back? And then making sure you hit on this 2022 draft class, because we all know that the Titans are very much in win now mode with kind of the way the contracts are set up. We've talked about Ryan Tannehill, of course, but you look at Julio's situation, A.J. Brown and Jeffrey Simmons are going to be due for contracts, probably market setting contracts. Kevin Byard is getting up there in age. So they're very much in win now mode, and it's kind of like a dwindling window, so to speak. And so making sure that they really get the most from these past two draft classes and the guys that are going to draft this year, making sure that they have the impact in 2022 to really capitalize on the way the roster is constructed. And so in my conversations with Jon, I really did kind of get that kind of feeling of kind of really banking on those guys you've drafted and that you've invested in these last couple years, really hoping that they make that jump for you in the upcoming season.
Ben, the Derrick Henry question as to what he's going to look like with an off season to really kind of come back and what his future looks like and all this is going to be one of the things that we're going to talk about for months. I think the bigger question is, what role does D'Onta Foreman have on this team from your perspective? Or is this a situation where maybe he actually has played himself into some money where maybe the Titans aren't going to be able to keep him because of how effective he was instead for Derrick Henry?
Yeah, that's a great question. That was kind of what I was alluding to in my question to John about free agency and how you approach that. And kind of prefacing that question, I had mentioned guys like Ben Jones, Harold Landry, Deontay Foreman, guys you probably want to keep, but you also have to consider the market that's going to be in place for them. And Deontay Foreman is another guy. I don't know if they've already had discussions in-house about trying to get him re-signed, but if you're Deontay Foreman and you're Deontay Foreman's representation, you want to test the market, right? Like, you were a legitimate starting running back for the second half of the season when Derrick Henry went down. We saw the three 100-yard rushing games he had, and there are a lot of teams that are in need of solid play at that position. And so if you're Deontay Foreman's camp, you're absolutely going to wait until free agency, until that tampering window opens in March, on March 14th, and kind of see kind of what's out there for you. I'm sure the Titans would love to have Foreman back. I mean, having Derrick Henry as your number one, Foreman as your number two, I mean, that's as good as you can. That's probably like the one of the best, if not the best, running back room in the NFL, having those two guys kind of at the top of the room. If Foreman continues to play as he did to finish the 2021 season, but if you're the Titans, you're also cognizant of the fact that he's probably, there's a chance he could command starting money, and so are you going to be able to afford that when you think of you're already, as of right now, you're already tight on cap space. There are bigger priorities, right, in a guy like maybe Harold, Ben Jones, and then potentially bringing in guys to help the spots where you were deficient on offense, right, like wide receiver and tight ends and offensive line. When you put all that into consideration and you think of the potential contract that Deontay Foreman could draw from an outside team, like, are you actually going to be able to re-sign him? I don't know. So that's going to be one of the key questions, I think. And there is a lot of talk about some of those bigger name guys, as I said, like Ben and Harold and stuff like that. But Foreman is kind of a sneaky, important player, I think, for the Titans, because moving forward, I mean, we've all seen what Derrick has done and what he's capable of, but just kind of getting up there in age and having this serious foot injury just at his position, you think about kind of what the next several years is going to look like for him, and you found a guy in Foreman who's really steady and reliable and dependable. Like, are you going to be able to keep him? And so that's going to be a big question, I think.
No doubt. Great stuff, Ben.
Yeah.
Great conversation with Jon Robinson. We appreciate the time. I'm sure we'll catch up with you soon.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. Thank you guys for having me on.
No doubt.
That's
Thanks,
Ben
man.
Arthur of the Tennessean. His piece about his Q&A with Jon Robinson. It's like a 35-minute conversation. And he didn't transcribe all of it. He transcribed a lot of it. And Jon Robinson kind of said, look, this franchise sucked before I got here. In no uncertain terms, that's kind of what he said. At the end of this piece, the way it finishes, one thing I talked to Mike and Amy about after the Bengals game was we don't have to fix the culture. That's not broken. That's set in stone. It was broken when I first got there. It ain't broken now. I am the captain now. Oh, pretty much. No, it's got an elbow. It's...
He basically said, pipe down. I ain't going nowhere. Vrabes ain't going nowhere. Amy here to stay.
And Ryan Tannehill ain't going anywhere.
What did AB say?
Everything's all right.
Basically.
615-737-1045 if you want to comment on that. So I just saw Julio Jones and I see Derrick Henry on the screen. And a question, do Packers give Aaron Rodgers best chance at Super Bowl? So I guess they're talking about the Titans.
Idiots.
Julio Y'all need to let it go.
said
Frozen style. It hasn't. You get it now, don't you? Did it take you a second?
I know it just revisited my
Again,
mind.
here it is. Just like. We'll be right back. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Imagine if the first way we did things was the only way we did them because somebody told you, look, that's the way we've always done it. You ask them why. He was like, I don't know. Well, that's what happens when you sell your home. You list it and you got to keep it show ready because you never know when somebody want to come by for what they call a quick look. Or you have dozens of people marching through your home that may or may not be serious about buying. And this goes on and 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 on until the right buyer comes along. Well, that's all ended. And it's Ramon Foster, and I want to tell you what I did. I went to opendoor.com, and I put in my address and a little bit of my home info, and I got an offer back in no times. There's no listings, no strangers, and no stress. Open Door gives you a real competitive offer in minutes. Just go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer. Open Door is the new way to sell without all the hassles of a traditional home selling. You'll know what you're getting, and the best part is you can decide when you want to close. Go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer today. That's opendoor.com/WGFX. And offer eligibility varies, and Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage, Inc. License 02061130 in California, Open Door Brokerage, LLC, and its other markets.
that's Coco Melon. Shoes are good for you. The Coco Melon.
Is that a hiccup?
Yes. It's kind of a laugh.
Daddy likes the shoes.
Oh, boy. Let's just say it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, facts.
That was last night.
That was real good.
That was last night. She's going to be 10 months next week.
Hey, shout out
to
to
a year in April.
The little gangbanger, man. There we go. Because she thugging in y'all house.
It's getting out of control.
Yeah.
We put her on the steps for the first time. Kind of had to help her sort of figure it out, but she was able to make it to the top of the stairs.
Yeah. For real?
I mean, not on her own, but like I was behind her kind of pushing her, but she figured out how to move her knees to get to the step. It's about to be a problem.
Yeah, that's cold-blooded, man. That's cold-blooded, dog.
So did you see that they've changed Joe Burrow's name? They're calling him Joe Burrow because he's cold. B-R-R-R.
Big brr. Yeah, I've been hearing about him. He had Pooh Shiesty shout him out, which I know you don't know who Pooh Shiesty is, but
I've heard the name.
Okay, you shock me every time. I sell it every time. The elbow. Killing me with that. Killing me with this, man. But yeah, Joe he cool. He's gonna have the biggest offseason, win or lose this NFL cycle.
Now, if they go get beat by 30, I still think he has a good offseason, but I don't think it's the same.
No.
If they win, good Lord. Y'all will be tired of Cincinnati by the fall.
It's going to be a wild offseason for Joey B. I mean, how sexy are the Rams? They are very, but their coverage is East Coast teams who win, I think, get more press than I think the West Coast does at this time. That's just my personal opinion.
No, they do.
You know what I'm saying? The news cycle fits the East Coast teams a whole lot more.
Yes. That's why you always hear about East Coast bias.
Yep. Joey B is – I heard people trying to put him in the top 5 quarterbacks already.
Top 5 quarterbacks right now. Aaron, Mahomes, Josh Allen. And then it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Then you can go Justin Herbert.
Because who's been our crutch for so long? Tom,
that's right.
Now it starts to get interesting.
Herbert and Burrow are in the mix. Lamar's probably still partially. You're still talking about Lamar, but they need a good year next year.
Yeah,
They need a good year. And Stafford's 5 to 10 range, somewhere in there. Who am I forgetting? Got to be somebody else I'm forgetting.
Kyler, maybe? No. There's no legacy guy.
I need a little more from Kyler.
All the legacy guys are gone, except for Russ. And RC just put out an article just then. Did you see what RC just said about him? Oh, my. He kind of
about Russ?
Yeah, about Russ.
That it's on the way down?
Russell Wilson is not an all-time great quarterback. He's never going to be in those conversations. We have to stop putting him in that world that any team has a Russell Wilson can win a Super Bowl.
That's a defensive mentality right there, because that's, I think, how a lot of his defense felt. That they went out there and won games and he would throw for 90 yards and be all over the commercials. We'll talk 4 more hours tomorrow. Ron Slay will join us. And, of course, more Bengals-Rams talk as maybe we'll see what Eli Apple's got on Tuesday. Bucks coming up next. For Ramon Foster and Jonathan Schaefer, I'm Jason Martin. We'll do it all again at 6 a.m. tomorrow.
And remember, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.